Immortal clan, starting with the power of the dragon and the tiger. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement: this story is 100% epic fiction, so please don't attempt real magic. The results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 76 Homecoming. In the middle of the first lunar month, Dalian, unwilling to let Wei take away a vein of black iron and find stone for nothing, launched a decisive battle. While this battle wasn't as brutal as the initial one, it still resulted in heavy casualties. Soldier against soldier, general against general. Su Mingxun, holding back, repeatedly encountered attacks from over a dozen men, but each time was dangerous. He then encountered Qianyuan Hong. After a bitter battle with the enemy captain, he was besieged by over a dozen peak-level postnatal cultivators. Captain Su Mingxun rushed forward, his dragon roar, fueled by his innate true ki, resounding like thunder, temporarily forcing the enemy back. But they didn't give up. After all, a captain's head was worth a second-class military merit. Spears, swords, and slashes stabbed and slashed at the two men. Move, Captain Su Mingxun's strength was unrealistic for him to take on over a dozen peak-level postnatal cultivators simultaneously. Get out of my way, Su Mingxun ignored him. With a single swing of the sword, a pine wave-like Qianyuan Qi erupted, ripples spreading, sending everyone flying. Qianyuan Qi, you've reached the Qianyuan realm, let's go. Su Mingxun quickly carried Qianyuan Hong away. This was a battlefield, and as an early Qianyuan warrior, he had only the strength to protect himself, so he could only take Qianyuan Hong away. Qianyuan Hong's initial act of kindness had saved his life. With his strength exposed, Su Mingxun abandoned his pretense and took advantage of the battle to kill numerous post-Qianyuan warriors, earning him a second-class military merit. As for Qianyuan warriors, the captains were generally at the late Qianyuan stage or higher, only a fool would kill them. Wouldn't it be nice to bully them? The battle concluded, and the Wei army officially announced the end of the war. After the military merits were tallied, the conscripts could return home. The borderlands erupted in turmoil, and thunderous cries echoed for 1,000 miles. Dongxi Camp, the military merit statistics office. What's your name? Su Mingxun. Su Mingxun, not bad. You've won a first-class merit and a second-class merit at such a young age? The middle-aged strong man who was in charge of the military merit statistics smiled and looked up at Su Mingxun, with a look of favor in his eyes. Are you interested in joining the Wei army? You'll definitely receive good treatment, sir. I haven't been home for 6 years and I miss you so much. I wish I could fly and arrive in an instant. I'm sorry to disappoint you. The middle-aged man sighed and waved his hand. Never mind. Everyone has their own ambitions. This is your military achievement. Second-class merit is enough to earn you a position as a county magistrate or lieutenant in the county seat. First-class merit could earn you a position as a chief clerk or lieutenant in the prefecture seat, or even a county magistrate in the county seat, but the latter is a bit of a waste of talent, sir. What if there are no more official positions in my hometown, county seat, or prefecture seat? If they all have official titles, then there's nothing I can do. But many only have official titles, not official records. You can ask for details when you return home. Alright, don't block the next person. Su Mingxun bowed and stepped back to leave. His inexperience meant he believed his military achievements could earn him more than just official titles, so he went to find Qianyuan Hong. He had now recovered from his injuries. Because of his life-saving grace, the two became sworn brothers. Qianyuan Hong was only about 27, about the same age as Su Mingwei. With the strength of a late Qianyuan, he must have come from a prominent family. Inside Qianyuan Hong's tent. Brother Jack, can military merit only be exchanged for official status? Usually, it's more cost-effective to exchange for official status, but some families have large tracts of land, perhaps tens of thousands of acres. A second-class military merit might be used to exchange for permanent tax exemption on the family's forests and farmland. For over 100,000 acres, only first-class military merit is required. Tax exemption isn't bad either, Su Mingxun thought. Anyway, consider it yourself, my dear brother. By the way, after this separation, I'm afraid we won't be able to see each other for a long time. If you have time, come find me at the Jeff family home in Guangling County. Guangling County is adjacent to your Yuhu County, so it's not too far away. I'll remember that, Su Mingxuan said with a smile, cupping his fists. He waited for the rest of the Su family to join him at the T-shaped camp gate. 20 or 30 men went to the battlefield, but only 7 survived: Li Zhi, Chen Daniu, and Bai Wei. Li Zhi received a second-class merit, Chen Daniu and Bai Wei fourth-class merit, and the others fifth-class merit, the lowest possible. Third young master, Li Zhi and Chen Daniu rode up, soon followed by Bai Wei and the others. Everyone, let's go home together. Go home. The 7 of them, eager to return, set out on their journey. Today's hexagram, auspicious. Your third son, Su Mingxuan, will arrive home at the hour of you with first and second class merits. First and second class merits. Su Chuan usually used the water hexagram to predict the fortune of his family, and it was most likely a neutral hexagram. But now, a lucky hexagram appeared, revealing his third son's imminent return, which surprised him somewhat. But a smile soon crept across his lips. Good boy. I told him to keep a low profile, but I didn't expect such a low profile. But good that he's back. Good that he's back. His eyes were filled with longing. Su Mingxuan, who was away, was immediately summoned back, saying a grand banquet was planned for the evening. The Chen, Bai, and Li families were also invited. Bai Jing was astonished. My dear husband, is there something big happening tonight? I'll keep it a secret, and I'll give you a surprise when the time comes. A surprise? It's not even my birthday today. Then I'll wait for your surprise. Su Mingwei and Su Mingxuan were also confused, wondering what Su Chuan was up to. Even if it's a family banquet, there's no need to invite the Chen and Li families. Wait, Su Mingxuan seemed to have guessed something, his pupils suddenly shrinking, and his eyes lit up with joy. Brother, could it be that Tan Tao and the others are coming back? That's possible. Su Mingwei's eyes flashed with surprise, but he didn't show much of a difference, having gradually developed the skill of keeping his emotions hidden. The authority of the head of the family grew heavier with each passing day. Impossible, Su Mingxuan immediately denied it. The border is thousands of miles away. How could father know that Tan Tao would return today and make it to the dinner? If that's the case, he must be a prophet. If father were just an ordinary person, how could he have built the Su family to this size in just over 20 years? Su Mingwei said calmly, although the Su family is now run by you and me, it's still father who supports us from behind. Without him, our Su family would only have 1/10 of what it is today. That's true. Longing began to show in Su Mingxuan's eyes. I actually hope Tan Tao comes back. It's been 6 years, and I still miss him. He's 21 now. If he comes back, mother won't just urge me. Su Mingwei turned to look at Su Mingxuan, his eyes as if saying, I thought you were going to say something sentimental about brotherhood, but this is all you can say? You really are Tan Tao's good second brother. Hour of the rooster. The setting sun stained the western sky like blood. 7 men rode up on the slate-gray official road, stirring up a cloud of dust. Their armor still clung to their waists, the scabbards at their waists swaying with their mounts, thudding the dusk. In the Su family mansion, in the great hall, a banquet had already been prepared. Almost done. Everyone follow me to the gate. Unsure of where to begin, a group arrived at the Su mansion's gate. Soon, the sound of Ji emanated from afar. Who dares to be so presumptuous in front of our Su family? Su Mingxu rebuked them, then shouted, Xiao Bei, roar, 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 roar. A thunderous tiger roar erupted, a wave of sound billowing forward. The horses, startled, became uncontrollable. Su Mingwei, with the best eyesight, immediately spotted the group from hundreds of meters away. Surprised, he smiled faintly and said, Zuji, are you trying to stop your third brother from entering? Third brother, really? It's Charcoal Head. Everyone's expression changed slightly, then revealed a look of ecstasy. Yes, Tan Tao is back. Bai Jing's eyes seemed to sparkle with brilliance, and she immediately burst into tears of joy. Chapter 77 Dinner. Brother, why didn't you tell me earlier? Su Mingxu complained immediately, then slapped Beihu's forelegs. Xiao Bei, third brother is back. Why are you yelling? Beihu turned to look at Su Mingxu innocently. Yell? Did you tell me to yell? Su Mingxu and the others, their horses frightened, had to walk slowly the rest of the way back. Father, mother, brother, why are you all standing at the door? I was thinking of giving you a surprise. Su Mingxuan dismounted, and Bai Jing hurried over, tearfully hugging Su Mingxuan, saying, "My son, you're finally back." Su Mingxuan's eyes misted with tears at the sound of his voice, and he choked, "Mother, Tantao is back." Li Zhi, Chen Daniu, and Bai Wei, seeing their parents also present, hurried over to pay their respects. Greetings to the patriarch, the old patriarch. The other three also greeted Su Mingwei and Su Chuan. Su Mingwei said, "No need for formalities. Returning from the battlefield is a feat. Dinner is ready, let's eat here. My Su family will never treat our meritorious officials unfairly." "Thank you, patriarch." Su Chuan smiled and said, "All right, everyone, go in. The banquet is almost cold." At the dinner, a group of people were curious about life on the border and asked questions. Su Mingxuan, Li Zhi, and others briefly explained their situations, while the others sighed with emotion. However, when they mentioned that Su Mingxuan had received a first-class merit and a second-class merit, and Li Zhi also received a second-class merit, everyone was amazed. "Father, second-class merit and above can be exchanged for official status and permanent tax exemption. It's up to you to decide how to use it. A second-class merit can permanently exempt the family from taxes," Su Mingwei asked curiously. "A second-class merit exempts taxes on land over 10,000 mu, while a first-class merit exempts land over 100,000 mu, then I can only exchange it for a first-class merit." Su Mingwei chuckled, "Tantao, it's been a while since you've been back. Our family has been completely transformed. Our farmland and forests now total over 100,000 mu." "What?" Su Mingxuan was also shocked. "The entire Dongxi village has been incorporated into our Su family, and the surrounding villages also have vast tracts of farmland. I haven't been back for 6 years, not 16, but 60. How everyone laughed. Bai Jing put some food in his bowl and said with a smile, "You heard right. Eat more. You've lost weight." Su Chuan said, "I need to think about how to use my military merit. Let's eat first." After dinner, Li'er, Chen Daniu, Bai Wei, and the others received rewards from the Su family. Li'er, who was at the peak of the acquired realm, was rewarded with 10 key-inducing pills. Chen Daniu, Bai Wei, and the others were all second-rate warriors, and were rewarded with 10 sets of secret medicinal foods and 10 Dongxi pills, which could help them quickly open their acupoints. Su Chuan's study. Su Mingwei, Su Mingyin, and Su Mingxuan were all there. Regarding military merits, including Li Zhi's share, our family has a total of 1 first-class merit, 2 second-class merits, and the rest are of little use. The first-class merit is used to exempt my Su family from all taxes on land and forests. As for the second-class merits, one of them will be used to wait for Li Zhi to break through the innate realm and let him become a county magistrate. And the other will be retained temporarily. I heard that military merits can also exempt from punishment. Su Mingwei nodded and said in a deep voice, "Dad's allocation is very reasonable. It is easier to do things in the officialdom if there are people who can help you. There must be one." "I agree, then I have no objection." Su Mingxuan spread his hands. "Dad, we are exhausted from the journey, so I will go back first. Shi Tao, you go with you, and teach you the Su family's inherited martial arts. Now that the second generation of my Su family are all innate, we can arrange for them to do things." "Inherited martial arts? Our family has this." Su Mingwei smiled and said, "Let's go to your room and I will tell you in detail." Su Mingxuan was shocked when he learned about the changes in the Su family in recent years. 3 secret medicinal foods combined with the Dongxi pill can rapidly train a large number of warriors. Su Chuan developed the Yinqi pill, saving him a considerable amount of money and allowing him to reap the wealth of the county's many wealthy families. Su Chuan, leveraging his supposed family martial arts heritage, transitioned from martial arts to Taoism, embarking on the path of immortal cultivation. "So, our family will become an immortal family in the future?" Su Mingxuan asked, stunned. "How can one immortal cultivator support an entire family? And given my father's temperament, he won't reveal our journey until we've gained sufficient strength. You must keep the secret as well." "I know." Su Mingxuan nodded heavily. "However, I truly look forward to seeing how far our Su family will rise in the future, whether we can rival the imperial family of Great Wei. Who can predict the future? Let's focus on the present. Tomorrow, you will also go to the Biham Pond and practice with my father. The spiritual energy there is slightly richer, which will accelerate your cultivation." I'll contact you when I need anything. I understand, big brother, Biham Pond. Wu Tao and Shen Chengyi met Su Mingsun and immediately bowed. Greetings, third master, am I a master now? Su Mingsun scratched his cheek and looked at them. Practice diligently, and the Su family will not treat you unfairly. Yes, third master, only a few people in the Su family knew that the two had embarked on the path of immortal cultivation. They had been warned not to tell anyone, not even their parents. Third uncle, you've come up the mountain too, Su Dezhao said politely. Su Mingsun rubbed his head. Yes, your father sent you up. What are you going to do? My grandfather asked me to take time every day to teach Wu Tao and Shen Chengyi to read and write until they recognize the 1,000-character classic, can recite it, and write it, then go ahead. Yes, third uncle. Su Mingsun sensed that the spiritual energy in the Biham Pond was indeed richer than that of the heaven and earth below the mountain. Perhaps this had something to do with the abundance of rare medicinal herbs. Su Mingsun, Su Mingshu, and Su Mingsun all practiced nearby, and the three of them frequently clashed. In terms of pure ki, Su Mingshu and Su Mingsun both surpassed Su Mingsun, but in actual combat, Su Mingshu often lost to him. Conversely, Su Mingsun never once defeated Su Mingsun. Later, upon inquiry, it was discovered that Su Mingsun had already broken through to the middle stage of the Qianyuan realm. Our Su family is really becoming more and more prosperous. The eldest brother is so talented, but he only reached the peak of the acquired realm at the age of 18, while Yanu is already in the middle stage of the innate realm. The cultivation of the innate realm is much slower than that of the acquired realm. Su Mingshu chuckled. How can the resources for martial arts cultivation in the past be compared with those of today? With father's medicinal food, the children of the Su family, even if they are mediocre, can reach the innate realm by the age of 25 or 26. People with good talent, like Shower, can become innate warriors before the age of 16, and have the hope of reaching the late innate realm or even perfection at the age of 20. However, Yanu is a special case. Father said that it is from the beginning of the innate realm, or even after cultivating immortals, that Yanu's talent can be truly brought into play. Talent? I've heard it from father several times. Su Mingsun stroked the stubble on his chin. Zuji, how did father know our talents, and do we brothers all have talents? Otherwise, how could they all be so outstanding? Su Mingshu listened with disgust. Third brother, you are so shameless. With your martial arts aptitude, you can only be ranked in the middle among some noble families in the county. Su Mingsun pretended to be gloomy, frowned slightly and said, the little girl is getting more and more outrageous. She is really disrespecting me as a brother as she gets older. I'll beat you up, under the black iron tree. The white tiger glanced casually and yawned boredly. It looked at the lush branches and leaves above its head, silently wondering when the next batch of fruits would be ripe. As it thought about it, saliva began to flow from the corners of its mouth. 2 months later, Li Zhi entered the Qianyuan realm. After stabilizing, he went to the county government and kicked out the Wang family's county magistrate, who was only an official, and became the new Qingjian county magistrate. Li Zhi had military merits, which no one could shake. As for the Wang family's assassination, they had to consider whether they had the ability. After all, Li Zhi was backed by the Su family. Thanks to their first-class merit, the Su family registered with the government and was exempted from taxes on all their fields and forests. Chapter 78 Talented Marriage. A month later, Wu Rushan was discovered to be pregnant, and Bai Jing was overjoyed. Turning around, she urged Su Mingsun to get up, giving him a headache. Bai Jing asked him what kind he liked, but he didn't know how to answer, his mind reminiscing about the casual conversations with his comrades in the barracks. When in doubt, ask daddy. Su Mingsun went to ask Su Chuan for advice, but he was left feeling both amused and annoyed. Why are you asking me about your wife? Just find one you like. Father has no objection whether she's from a common family or a noble family, I just don't know what I like. Do you want father to select a concubine for you? Is that okay? Su Chuan slapped him on the forehead. That's nice. If you're not sure, then find a marriage with a noble family. If my Su family makes this public, I'm afraid all the noble families in the county will come to join in the fun, and it will probably make you dizzy. Father, don't say any more. I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. After a while, Su Mingsun raised his head and looked at Su Chuan. Can I not marry? Father can accept it, but your mother will annoy me to death. So for the sake of your father and my peace of mind, I'll obey your mother. At worst, just treat it as a task to be completed. That's too unfair to the girl. This is not allowed. That is not allowed. Don't bother me. Chuan laughed angrily and kicked him out of the room directly. Get away from me. Su Mingshu chuckled at this scene. Third brother, you're in such a mess. Father has such a good temper. How did you anger him, you little girl? Tell me about it. Maybe I, your little sister, can help you solve your problem. Su Mingshu thought about it and felt that Su Mingshu must have many little sisters who might be able to help him solve the problem. What? Little sisters? Su Mingshu looked at him with a look of don't be ridiculous. Third brother, do you think those ladies from wealthy families would come with me for tea and chat? If you really find it difficult, why not hold a talent show to find a husband? You can choose the one you like, it seems. This is the only way. At least it saves me from meeting them one by one. Su Mingshu nodded. I'll go ask mother. Seeing him leave, Su Mingshu spread her hands and sighed. Oh, as your little sister, I'm really worried about my brother's marriage. Su Mingshu went down the mountain to find Bai Jing. Bai Jing felt something was amiss when she heard this, but ultimately she had no choice but to agree with Su Mingshu and discuss the matter with the aristocratic families interested in marrying into the family. This incident became a popular topic in Qianyuan County. The third son of the Su family, a prominent figure, had actually been reduced to seeking a marriage through talent. However, since the marriage was open to the public, even ordinary wealthy families and merchants could participate, which gave them an opportunity. Being able to marry into the Su family was a chance to leap over the Dragon Gate. Half a month later, a talent search was held in the county, and there were many women of the right age who were both talented and beautiful. Many were skilled in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Some had slender waists, their figures making the wolves present glow green. Others could dance with swords, their heroic figures dazzling the eyes. There were many young ladies from the aristocratic families and wealthy families. Many were close friends in the past, but now, in order to find a good husband, the close sisters have become fake sisters. Even if it wasn't a life and death battle, they still tried their best. Instead, Su Mingshu chose a woman from a humble family. She was from the Zhang family in the county town, named Zhang Wanqing. She was 18 years old, pretty, and the youngest daughter. She had some embroidery skills, so she had entered the talent show to find a husband. The Zhang family was considered just an ordinary wealthy family in the county town. Although Bai Jing felt Su Mingshu deserved better, she couldn't do anything about it since her son liked her. Su Mingshu also joined in the fun, and after returning, she told Chuan about it. Oh, your third brother picked a girl from an ordinary family. Yes, father, today's talent competition was so lively. It was thanks to me that I helped my third brother solve his lifelong event. You? Chuan nodded her head and shook his head helplessly, coming up with such a bad idea. My Su family has lost all face. Which family do you think would act like this? Dad, you worry too much? Su Mingshu hugged Chuan's arm and started to act coquettishly. Now, who in the whole Qianyuan County dares to laugh at my Su family? I guess they can't wait for us to hold more such activities. Forget it. Considering that you helped your third brother pick a good wife, I'll forgive you. Dad, you haven't even seen the girl, but you think she's good. It's too hasty. After your third brother gets married, ask your eldest brother to get a test crystal stone to test her. Does she have the qualifications to cultivate immortality? We'll know after the test. Since your third brother chose someone with ordinary looks and talents among so many outstanding women, it means she has other outstanding qualities. Didn't your third brother tell you he chose based on intuition? Yes, that's right. Your third brother's intuition is pretty accurate. Su Mingshu didn't believe it. She went down the mountain to talk to Su Mingwei and the others about it, and they also found it mysterious. Su Mingshu himself didn't believe it. It seems that my Su family can't treat the Zhang family unfairly. We will increase the betrothal gift by 20% and add 4 bottles of qi and blood pills to the previous betrothal gift list. Su Mingwei made the final decision. Okay, big brother, I'll take care of it, Su Mingwei said. Such a generous betrothal gift would be enough to marry the daughters of the previous Qianyuan families. The Zhang family was flattered. 2 months later, on an auspicious day, the Su family married Zhang Wanqing. Before the wedding, Su Mingwei and Su Mingyin came to discuss the art of the bridal chamber with Su Mingshu. After all, Su Mingshu hadn't had much contact with women since childhood, and he'd spent 6 years in the military, so they worried he wouldn't know how to prepare for the wedding night. Su Mingshu blushed. On the wedding night, Zhang Wanqing's eyes sparkled as she stared at Su Mingshu, Her rosy cheeks flushed as she gently opened her red lips and said, "My husband, this is the first time I've received your grace. I hope you will take me in." Su Mingxun's ears turned red, and he held her hand and said slowly, "My lady, please be patient. This is also the first time for you and me to have sex. We should encourage each other." Puff Zhang Wanking laughed out loud and felt rude, so she quickly explained, "I'm sorry. I just think what you said is very interesting." "Really?" Su Mingxun scratched his head and smiled. "I also think the ones in my family are the most interesting." "What are your brothers and sisters like?" "We are all family. It's okay to tell you. My eldest brother is majestic and dignified. I feel more so after returning from the army 6 years ago. My second brother is very versatile and has a great talent for business. My fourth sister is eccentric and can be a bit willful due to her pampering. She has a pet white tiger, an exotic beast. I'll take you to see it tomorrow if I have the chance. My fifth brother has been aloof and taciturn since he was a child, but he loves his family very much." "What about father and mother?" Zhang Wanking asked again. "Mother is gentle and quiet, and very easy to get along with. As for father, he is undoubtedly talented, but he is also very kind to others. Just remember not to infringe on the interests of the Su family. If you spread things that are forbidden to be spread outside the family without authorization, even we will be severely punished." Wanking will remember this. "Thank you for your advice, my husband. Now that I have married into the Su family, I am a Su family woman and will never do anything that would harm the interests of the Su family." "Yes." Su Mingxun nodded and was silent for a while. "My wife, why are you wearing this dress?" Zhang Wanking smiled softly. She was delighted. The Su family was indeed as rumored, each one of them chaste and self-disciplined, never seeking pleasure outside. "My dear husband, I'll do it myself." The gauze curtains hung lightly, the candlelight flickered crimson, and the dragon and phoenix candles shone brightly in the brocade tent. In the hazy shadows of the curtains, two overlapping shadows resembled twin lotus flowers, like phoenixes singing in harmony in the heavens, mandarin ducks embracing in the azure waters. This was the night when the golden wind and jade dew met, a night better than countless moments in the human world. Chapter 79. 3 years later, Zunfang City. The next day, newlyweds Su Mingxun and Zhang Wanking, as usual, rose early to visit the Wangxin courtyard to offer tea to Su Chuan and Bai Jing. Afterward, upon leaving Wangxin courtyard, Su Mingxu dragged the two of them to Su Mingwei, intending to test Zhang Wanking's aptitude. Su Mingyun was also in the study. Su Mingwei took out a test crystal and said, "Third sister-in-law, place your hand on it and hold it for a few breaths." Zhang Wanking nodded slightly, touching the crystal for a few breaths, and it suddenly emitted a hazy green light. "It can even glow." Zhang Wanking looked up at the others in surprise, only to see everyone, including her husband, with expressions of disbelief. "She actually has the aptitude to cultivate immortality, and even genuine spiritual roots," Su Mingxu exclaimed. "Sister Mingxu, you said I have the aptitude to cultivate immortality. How is that even possible? The crystal can't be wrong." "Third brother, you've truly merited a treasure." Su Mingyun smiled and patted Su Mingxun on the shoulder. "My wife is certainly not bad." Su Mingxun's lips curled slightly, his dark jade eyes gleaming with pride as he lifted his chin slightly. Zhang Wanking was still confused, but Su Mingxun quickly explained. It turned out that the Su family wasn't just a martial arts family, but also a family of immortal cultivation, though outsiders didn't know. Since Zhang Wanking possessed such talent, it was natural for her to begin training. However, Su Mingwei warned her not to tell anyone else about her situation, not even her parents or brothers. So, Zhang Wanking would go up the mountain every day to train with Su Chuan, returning only at dusk. Newlyweds, in their first moments of intimacy, Su Mingxun and Zhang Wanking indulged in endless nights of intimacy. As Su Mingxun gradually mastered the art, his movements became more skilled, his techniques more varied, and he never even noticed a moment of indulgence. 2 months later, Zhang Wanking became pregnant. The Su family prospered, and its wealth grew. Time flies, days and months pass by like a shuttle. Suddenly, 3 years have passed. Dongxi village, Baihantan. After 3 years of hard training, with my true spiritual roots, heaven rewards diligence, and the Shenin herbs, destiny gift, I have only just reached the peak of the 7th level of key training, but, after all, I am one step closer to the 9th level. The peak of the 9th level of key training is also known as the great perfection of key training. At this level of cultivation, one can begin to build a foundation. We must prepare for a rainy day. Chuan glanced at the bamboo house next door, which was Su Mingxin's room. Yunyu has also embarked on the path of cultivation. With his natural talent, it's only a matter of time before he catches up with me. It's time to go to the market to see what's going on. Chuan pondered for a moment before saying, Zuji, go down the mountain and call your eldest brother. Okay, father. Baihantan was only a dozen miles from the Su family mansion. Zuji, still riding the white tiger, arrived at the Su family mansion in a matter of moments. Su Mingwei usually stayed at the Su family mansion unless otherwise requested. In a moment, Su Mingwei arrived at Baihantan. Father, you wanted to see me. Sit down and talk. Yes, Su Mingwei replied. Seeing him sit down, Chuan said. The Su family has reached a bottleneck in its development. Either a large number of innate warriors and key training monks will be cultivated, or a powerful person with extraordinary strength will appear. The former takes time. My Su family has no shortage of resources. In a dozen years, there will definitely be no shortage of innate masters. As for the immortal cultivators, Wu Tao is now at the first level of key training, Shen Qingyi is at the second level of key training, and Qianyuan has the best aptitude, but because of pregnancy and childbirth, she was ultimately dragged down, and has only reached the peak of the first level of key training so far. But in another 5 or 6 years, Yuan, Tan Tao, and Zuji will probably be able to start from martial arts and embark on the path of immortal cultivation. Once they break through, they will be at the 5th level of key training, so, father thinks it's time to contact the immortal cultivators, Su Mingwei asked. After some time, I plan to go with Yunyu to visit the Xuxin market in Yuhu County to find out more about the situation. Chuan looked at Su Mingwei with admiration in his eyes. Now you have also reached the Grandmaster realm. With a Grandmaster medicinal food I have researched and your own talent, I believe you will be able to reach the Grandmaster perfection within 10 years. If there are other opportunities in the future, it will definitely be earlier. Your strength is enough to compete with a mid-stage Grandmaster. If you use archery to attack, you can even kill the late-stage Grandmaster. With you in charge of the Su family, father is relieved. Su Mingwei knew that Chuan was paving the way for the future of the Su family, and he bowed his hands respectfully and said, Thank you for your hard work, father. It's my incompetence that makes you have to travel outside at such an old age. Chuan waved his hand and smiled faintly. It doesn't matter if I have to work hard. I never told you that cultivating immortals has been my ambition since I was a child. No matter it takes 10, 50 or 100 years, I will walk on the path of cultivating immortals until I die. For the first time, Su Mingwei sensed Chuan's devotion to the Dao, and was deeply moved. We'll be away for 1 or 2 years at the shortest, 5 or 6 at the longest. Don't worry, Dad. I'll take care of everything at home. Hearing this, Chuan sensed Su Mingwei's demeanor, knowing he was no longer the young man driven by love. Yes, Chuan nodded slightly, smiling. Don't try to handle everything alone. Send Tan Tao, Mingshu, and the others out for training as needed. The Su family's rise to prominence won't be achieved by just 1 or 2 people. I understand, son. Half a month later, Su Mingxin broke through to the 6th level of key training and traveled with Chuan to Yuhu County. Although they knew the Xuxin market would never be located within Yuhu County, they knew that martial arts and immortality coexisted there, and news of the market would surely reach them. Yunyu will travel as independent cultivators. Father gave me the name, Taoist Sanshu. Chuan turned to look at Su Mingxin and asked with a smile, What about you? Do you have a suitable code name, father? Isn't Sanshu your nickname? So what? No one in Yuhu County knows it. Chuan's lips curled up, his eyes filled with confidence that he wouldn't be exposed. Father is right. Then Yunyu will accompany you as Taoist Yunming. Okay, from now on, father will call you fellow Taoist Yunming, fellow Taoist Sanshu. Su Mingxin smiled and clasped his fists in return. 2 days later, the two entered Yuhu County. The Su family had been establishing a presence in Yuhu County for nearly 5 years, and they had established a considerable foundation. Their livelihoods were supported by some of the Su family's businesses. However, to outsiders, the Cheng family was the true owner of these businesses. Therefore, they had been living in peace, with only minor disturbances. Guanghuju was a well-known tavern in the county town. The business is booming because of the good wine and food at affordable prices. This is one of the Su family's businesses. At this time, 2 men wearing Taoist robes, one blue and the other gray, walked in. One of them was about 40 years old, with a short beard under his chin like an ink cloud, and the other was not much older, wearing a straight blue robe. They were Chuan and Mingxin. "Masters, please take a seat." The waiter folded a plain silk handkerchief over his arm and presented the menu with gold cloud patterns with both hands. "This is the vegetarian menu of our shop today. The pine nut smoked mushroom and the green stream soup are all fresh in season. If you would like spring tea or pine nut yogurt drink, please let me know." Chapter 18 Yuhu County Zhou Family. 2 or 3 dishes each, meat and vegetables, will do. "Okay," the waiter called out. "Please wait a moment, Taoist priests, fellow Taoist Sanchu, this tavern is truly packed with customers." "Yes, it's rare in other counties," the two chatted casually when a deep, magnetic voice rang out from behind them. "You two Taoist priests, are you new to Yuhu County?" Chuan turned around and saw a young man in a moon-white robe approaching, holding a black bamboo jade fan. His face was as handsome as a jade, his brows like stars, and a warm smile played at the corners of his lips, neither pretentious nor boastful. He was flanked by 4 guards, all peak-level martial artists. This must be the Zhou family member mentioned in the hexagram. "Who are you, young master? May I sit with you?" "As you please," Chuan said calmly. The young man in the moon-white robe, not minding his cold words, took the empty seat. "Next week, Jolin, what does young Master Zhou want to see us about?" Mingxin asked coldly. "I admire the Immortal Master, and I'm just here to talk to you by chance." "Please forgive me, young Master Zhou, please speak frankly, do you two know how to make elixirs? My Zhou family is looking for an alchemist. If you can help us, I will reward you handsomely." Zhou Yilin bowed. Mingxin looked at Chuan, surprise in his eyes. "Isn't this a coincidence?" Chuan said calmly, "I do know some pharmacology and medicine, but I'm not sure if I can be of any help. First, tell me what kind of reward your family can offer," Mingxin said. One of them played the good cop, the other the bad cop. "Why don't we go to the private room on the second floor to talk?" The two looked at each other and nodded. The few of them immediately called the waiter and changed the room. "By the way, I'd like to know what the two Taoist masters' names are. Sanchu, Yunming, are you two independent cultivators?" "Yes, Master Zhou looks down on independent cultivators like us." Upon hearing this, Zhou Yilin waved his hands repeatedly, saying, "Of course not." "Then tell me in detail. What can you do for me? What's the reward? If it's too difficult, I'll excuse our lack of companionship." Zhou Yilin looked at Chuan, who smiled faintly. "Fellow Taoist Yunming means what I mean. As expected of independent cultivators, profit comes first." Zhou Yilin began to speak slowly. "My Zhou family has come across an incomplete elixir recipe. We'd like to enlist the help of everyone to complete it. If we succeed in refining the elixir, we'll reward each person according to their contribution. As for the reward," Zhou Yilin paused deliberately, "spiritual stones, elixirs, magical instruments, manuals on cultivation techniques, etc., anything our Zhou family has, we can give." "Are you kidding, Master Zhou? Do you think your Zhou family can do that?" Chuan was also skeptical, although he had heard that there were usually families with a long history of key training in the county. But such a bold claim truly aroused suspicion. "You two Taoists, there's no need to doubt it. My Zhou family's ancestor has recently achieved foundation establishment and is a 4th-rank immortal official in the Great Way. If our Zhou family's foundation weren't so limited, we would have already relocated to the Imperial City, so it's a foundation establishment family." "I'm so short-sighted." Chuan clasped his fists, his expression much more enthusiastic. After dinner, Chuan and Mingxin followed Zhou Yilin to the Zhou family's residence. The Zhou family's estate is located in a land brimming with spiritual energy outside the county capital. Tens of thousands of acres of fertile farmland and lush forests are all part of the Zhou family's holdings. The Zhou family is a family of immortal cultivators, established for over 600 years, and is truly the top family in Yuhu County. The Zhou family's ancestor even achieved foundation establishment, becoming the true overlord of Yuhu County. Within the Zhou family, key cultivating disciples with gifted spiritual roots are the true core. However, those with talent in the martial arts are also vigorously nurtured. After all, the coexistence of immortals and martial artists in the Great Way inevitably requires interaction with others, so they cultivate martial arts masters to cope with these mundane circumstances. As they journeyed, Mingxin was also deeply impressed. He thought, although my Su family has grown rapidly, compared to these truly powerful families with profound heritage, we are still far too shallow. This might be the Su family's chance. By the way, young Master Zhou, you suddenly came to us too. Is it because of a clan mission? Haha, Taoist Sanchu has a keen eye, Zhou Yilin said without hiding anything. The clan does have such a mission. We are looking for an alchemist skilled in pharmacology. Find one and we will be rewarded with abundant resources. I don't have the aptitude for cultivating immortality, so I can only pursue the martial arts path. But the martial arts path is equally difficult. Without our abundant resources, progress is slow. Su Chuan nodded, then asked, then there should be a test to compare the changes in pharmacology, right? As long as Taoist Sanchu has real talent, there's no need to worry. Even if he fails, our Zhou family won't make things difficult, Su Chuan thought to himself. With such a large number of alchemy talents, it seems that the recipe obtained by the Zhou family is very important to the Zhou family. The two of them stayed at the Zhou family's house. Several nearby courtyards were also inhabited, each one a seasoned Taoist past 60. Su Chuan had spoken with them during his time there. All of them were independent cultivators. Soon, a pharmacist from the Zhou family arrived to test Su Chuan. Su Chuan was well versed in pharmacological changes, able to develop his own prescriptions, medicinal diets, and refine qi-inducing pill recipes. Naturally, the tests they offered were no problem. With a true entry-level pill recipe to study and experiment with, he was confident he could refine it. Fellow Taoist Sanchu's knowledge of medicine far surpasses mine. I admire you. Tomorrow I will bring you there to study the elixir formula with the other Taoists, the Zhou family pharmacist said. As for your friend, he can stay in this small courtyard for the time being. My Zhou family will provide all his food. Moreover, the spiritual energy here is richer than in the county town, which will also benefit him. But there's one thing, you must not trespass, the Zhou family pharmacist said solemnly. Otherwise, my Zhou family will have no choice but to expel him. Thank you, fellow Taoist Zhou. I will certainly warn my friend, the Zhou family pharmacist nodded slightly. Su Chuan instructed Su Mingxin on many matters and told him to practice the Golden Yuan Sutra here. The next morning, Su Chuan, accompanied by the Zhou family pharmacist and 3 other senior Taoists, arrived at a grand hall of the Zhou family. One person is missing. It seems someone hasn't passed the assessment. Su Chuan surveyed the hall. It stood majestically, imposing and majestic. 8 bronze pillars stood in all directions, supporting the vastness of the dome. The bronze pillars were engraved with turquoise cloud and thunder patterns. The hall was spacious, with a high dome. The surrounding walls were made of bluestone. Moss could be seen faintly in the cracks between the stones, indicating that it had been there for quite some time. The light in the hall was soft and not dim. It really has a profound heritage. Su Chuan was just settling down with the others when he heard the sound of rings and bells, and saw an old man with white hair and a youthful face walking in from outside the hall. His silver beard hung down to his chest, and he was dressed in a purple robe with dark patterns. His steps were as steady as stepping on rock, and when his eyes narrowed, a gleam of light seemed to flash. Beside him were 2 young people, a man and a woman. They were handsome, wearing long turquoise robes, and their hair was tied with turquoise silk ribbons. This is the elder of my Zhou family and the chief alchemist. As the man spoke, the woman waved her sleeves and 4 pages of paper flew out and fell into the hands of Su Chuan and the other 4. Elder Zhou suddenly spoke, you fellow Taoists are all well versed in pharmacology. The recipe you have is one that my Zhou family stumbled upon. I'm not going to tell you what it's for. I hope you will use your ingenuity to complete it. My Zhou family will assign each of you a junior who understands pharmacology, so you can ask them to fetch herbs and other supplies. There are 3 alchemy rooms behind the main hall, as well as living quarters. Later, the juniors will take you to the quarters to familiarize yourself. There aren't enough alchemy rooms, so please be understanding and don't fight over them. The elixirs you refine can also be given to the juniors for testing. Su Chuan and the others stood up and bowed to Elder Zhou. Then, 4 young men, ranging in age from 11 or 12 to 17 or 18, entered. Su Chuan was assigned a 12-year-old. Under his guidance, they first visited the quarters and then inspected several alchemy rooms. Each of these rooms must have been expensive, and each furnace was a magical artifact. As for the grade of the magical instrument, Su Chuan was still unclear. Then, he began to study the incomplete pill formula in his residence. Chapter 81, Getting a Bargain for Free. Completing the recipe. This page of recipes listed 7 magical herbs. But Chuan only recognized 2, a 100-year-old Huangzi essence and a 50-year-old green Poria cocos. He had never heard of the others, let alone their medicinal properties and vital energy attributes. Young friend Yiming, Master Sanshu, what can I do for you? Does your Zhou family have any books on magical herbs? I'm not very knowledgeable, and I don't recognize several. Could you please fetch them for me to study? The young man outside hesitated, his face filled with astonishment. Chuan looked as if he had practiced for 20 or 30 years. Since he was skilled in alchemy, he must have studied various magical herbs regularly. How could he not even recognize them all? But after all, he was a pharmacist who had passed the Zhou family's test. Zhou Yiming was undecided and said, "Okay, then I'll go ask for you." He ran to find the Zhou family pharmacist in charge of the pharmacology assessment. "Uncle, that Sanshu Taoist is truly strange. He can't even identify all the spiritual herbs in the elixir recipes, yet he's still trying to borrow a spiritual herb manual from us. Do you want to borrow it?" Oh, the Zhou family's pharmacist was also surprised. His assessment focused on fundamental skills, primarily on pharmacological transformations, so he had chosen common herbs. This Sanshu Taoist is the most proficient in pharmacological transformations among the 4 of us. I'll lend him our clan's encyclopedia of spiritual herbs. Okay, uncle. Soon, Zhou Yiming borrowed the encyclopedia of spiritual herbs from the Zhou family's library and handed it to Chuan. Chuan had originally planned to search the Xiuxin market for spiritual herb manuals and elixir recipes, but he hadn't expected to find them for free at the Zhou family. This trip to the Zhou family proved to be a golden opportunity. Chuan, with his inherently powerful soul power and astonishing memory, had spent the past few days diligently studying the encyclopedia of spiritual herbs. Since it belonged to a foundation establishment family, it was likely superior to the more common tomes in the Xiuxin market. Half a month had passed in the blink of an eye. Purple yuan fruit, a first-level spiritual fruit, mostly grows in secluded valleys near water sources. It's the size of a fist, purple and translucent with white spots. It has a peaceful nature and strengthens vital energy. Thorax fire vine flower, a spiritual flower from the first-level spiritual herb thorn fire vine, mostly grows in hot areas. The stamens are whitish, and the petals are sword-shaped and ridged. It is of the fire element and can cause a burst of vital energy. If consumed raw, it can ignite mana and help one break through bottlenecks, but, if I'm not mistaken, this recipe should be for breaking through realm bottlenecks. 2 of the spiritual herbs include spiritual herbs that promote mana, 2 that break through bottlenecks, and 3 that stabilize the foundation. They are most likely for cultivators in the middle and late stages of key training. Thorax fire vine flower and ice grass both have the effect of breaking through bottlenecks, but they also have certain side effects, according to the principle of changing medicinal properties. There should be 2 more spiritual herbs to make up for the shortcomings and integrate the medicinal properties to truly achieve the effect of breaking through bottlenecks, 1 hot and 1 cold, 2 polar opposites. Ordinary spiritual herbs simply cannot suppress them. The cold flame flower is fine, but it's rare, second-tier spiritual herb. Its value is too high, and the cost outweighs the benefits. Furthermore, its vast medicinal properties will destroy the properties of the other spiritual herbs. Even for Chuan, completing such a recipe was a challenge. Forget it, let's first practice with the spiritual herbs in the current recipe a few times and observe the changes in their properties. Chuan immediately headed for the alchemy room. One room happened to be empty, and Zhou Yiming stood quietly observing, not interrupting. These young men, known as medicine boys, were actually monitoring. After 3 attempts, Chuan made a discovery. 3 of the spiritual herbs underwent unique changes during the refining process, but ultimately, the elixir failed due to the combined effects of their flame and ice properties. So, the main ingredients for the recipe are already complete. The missing 1 or 2 are merely supplementary ingredients needed to fully complete the elixir. Blind experimentation won't work. Let's go back and look through the encyclopedia of spiritual herbs. Every 2 or 3 days, Chuan would return to the alchemy room to test his ideas. A month and a half passed in the blink of an eye. 2 of the cultivators and alchemists recruited gave up and left, and a new one arrived. Throughout his numerous experiments, Chuan failed to successfully form the elixir. It's truly incredibly difficult, Chuan lamented. The Zhou family had their own pharmacist, well versed in pharmacology, and Elder Zhou must also be exceptional in alchemy. Yet, None of them were complete, demonstrating the difficulty. Furthermore, the elixir recipe relies primarily on spiritual herbs of both ice and fire, and its effects are incredibly potent. I'm afraid this isn't an ordinary recipe for breaking through bottlenecks. Wait, if simply suppressing it isn't working, can't we do the opposite? Use the supporting herbs of Qianyuan and Qianyuan. First, add the thorny firevine flower and Qianyuan spiritual materials, then stabilize the vital energy, and finally the ice grass and Qianyuan materials. Chuan's eyes sparkled, and he immediately began to research which two spiritual herbs to choose. Friend Yiming, please fetch these for me and bring them to the Jia alchemy room. Zhou Yiming immediately went to get them. On the way, he glanced at the spiritual herbs. The first 7 were the same as those in the elixir recipe. Yuan grass and water yuan flower. We already have 2 spiritual herbs, flame and cold, and adding 2 more. Will this make an elixir? Never mind, just do as I say. In the Jia-shaped cave, Chuan added the thorn firevine flower and water yuan flower, refining them into a medicinal liquid. He then added the purple yuan fruit, but after refining it into a liquid, it didn't mix with the previous liquid. Next came the ice grass and yuan grass. Holding his breath and concentrating, Chuan's palms controlled 4 balls of emerald liquid in the cauldron. His fingertips moved like butterflies through flowers, his mana pouring in continuously, his mind divided. Controlling the 4 balls of liquid to flow without dispersing and close to each other. Soon, beads of sweat formed on his forehead and trickled down his temples. That's quite impressive. To have been able to hold out for so long without losing any of his mana, he must be at the 5th or 6th level of key training. Zhou Yiming, himself at the 1st level of key training, couldn't fathom Chuan's level. He thought, it's not easy for a casual cultivator to reach the 5th or 6th level at such a young age. The Su family's martial arts path was fully developed, and they inherited a technique that allowed them to enter the Dao through martial arts. It was likely that within a few decades, he could catch up with the Zhou family members who had reached the key training realm. It really works. Chuan was overjoyed, his mind churning, causing the medicinal liquid to fluctuate violently. Not good condition, Chuan had no choice but to suppress it with all his might, hastening the pill's formation. However, the path of alchemy, with its meticulous attention to the shifting dynamics of yin and yang and the subtleties of fire and temperature, was extremely demanding, and no negligence could be tolerated. The slightest mistake could cause chaos. At best, it would affect the quality of the finished pill, and at worst, it would render the pill useless. Suddenly, a soft sound echoed from the furnace. It's ruined again. At this rate, how many years will it take to end? Even with my Zhou family's vast wealth, we can't withstand this kind of depletion. But if I give up, won't all my previous efforts be wasted? Zhou Yiming sighed inwardly as Chuan's brows furrowed in frustration. With a flick of his robe sleeve, 4 pills flew out, landing in his palm like stars falling from a jade plate. 3 of them, while still in the shape of pills, were pitch black, their bodies swirling with black mist, clearly poisonous. From their appearance, a potent toxic aura emanated from their bodies. Ingestion could damage the meridians. Only 1 pill remained, half gray and half pristine white. A faint fragrance, like a newly blossoming orchid, emanated from its body, a stark contrast to the other 3. A pill fragrance. Zhou Yiming glanced sideways, his gaze suddenly fixed, his eyes white as bells, his throat rolling, his Adam's apple as if gripped by an invisible hand. After a while, he pointed his trembling finger at Chuan, and a half sound of surprise escaped from between his teeth. The pill, it's done. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82 Breakthrough Pill. Master Sanchu, have you succeeded? Just barely, Chuan said calmly. Zhou Yiming, however, was deeply troubled. He knew that neither the Zhou family's alchemy elders nor the recruited alchemists had ever succeeded in refining the elixir. Almost always, the failure was due to conflicting medicinal properties. He had heard from a clan brother who served the chief alchemist that the elixir recipe might be ancient. Its potent properties made it extremely difficult to refine. Furthermore, 1 or 2 key ingredients were missing, which had left everyone helpless. And now, someone had actually succeeded. Master, please wait a moment. I'll go get Elder Zhou. Senator Zhou Sen was the white-haired elder Su Chuan, and the others had met in the hall. The Zhou family had 3 alchemists. Only Zhou Sen was trained in-house, the other 2 were recruited independent cultivators. However, the Zhou family was now continuously training family members to become alchemists. Su Chuan nodded slightly, placed the only finished elixir in a porcelain bottle, and then sat cross-legged on the cushion, meditating and regulating his breathing. A moment later, Elder Zhou Sen hurried over and said, "Fellow Taoist, take out the elixir and let me see it." Su Chuan moved the porcelain bottle in front of Zhou Senator. He poured out the grayish-white elixir and examined it carefully. There is a fragrant aroma. It is indeed a finished elixir. However, judging by its color, its quality is average, only low grade. Elder Zhou is a master of alchemy and can see the mystery at a glance. Su Chuan said, "This elixir is not easy to refine. The slightest mistake will lead to failure. Perhaps my magic power is insufficient and my alchemy skills are not proficient, so I only succeeded with 1 elixir." Zhou Sen looked at Su Chuan, his eyes narrowed. Only then did he realize that Su Chuan had reached the 7th level of key training, only 1 level lower than him. A mere casual cultivator could reach this level and master the art of alchemy? What does it have to do with me? Zhou Sen, currently focused on the recipe, immediately said, "Yiming, show me the completed recipe." "Yes, Elder." Zhou Sen glanced at it, his brow furrowed slightly. "You added jade sungrass and water yuan flower." Zhou Sen looked at Su Chuan in confusion. "Fellow Taoist Sanchu, this recipe already contains 2 herbs with fiery and cold properties, thorny fire vine flower and frost ice grass. Adding 2 more doesn't exacerbate the fiery and cold vital energy properties. How could the pill be successfully formed? Are you sure these herbs were used?" Zhou Yiming bowed and said, "Elder, I obtained all the herbs. They are definitely these." "How did you manage to refine this pill with these herbs?" The Zhou family was powerful, and Su Chuan knew that if he acted too arrogantly, he would inevitably face disaster. However, this recipe was exceptional, and the resulting pill would be equally extraordinary. He would surely accept a higher reward from the Zhou family. "The formula has been completed, and I have successfully refined the pill. Elder, please verify its effectiveness first to see if it meets your family's needs before discussing anything else." Su Chuan closed his eyes and began regulating his breathing. Seeing this, Zhou Sen and Zhou Yiming left the alchemy room to find someone to verify it. The completion of the formula and the successful creation of the pill alarmed even the patriarch and the other elders. "Is this the realm-breaking pill?" The Zhou patriarch pinched the grayish-white pill between his thumb and fingers, his eyes shifting, neither joy nor sorrow. "Let's first find someone suitable to test the effectiveness of this pill." He glanced around and said calmly, "Is anyone willing to give it a try?" After a while, seeing no one respond, Zhou Sen stepped forward and said, "Patriarch, let this elder try it. According to the recipe, this realm-breaking pill is used to break through bottlenecks in the late stages of key training. I'm at the 8th level of key training. Although I'm not at a bottleneck, I think it will have some effect on improving my mana, which will only benefit me. Also, this elder would like to experience the effectiveness of the pill firsthand by taking it, so that I can make further improvements." The Zhou family patriarch glanced at Zhou Sen and bowed. "Thank you, third uncle." Zhou Sen took the pill, swallowed it immediately, and then sat cross-legged to refine it. 2 hours later, Zhou Sen slowly opened his eyes and exhaled. "It is indeed a realm-breaking pill, with 70% of the efficacy of the recipe." At these words, the people around him all smiled with joy. A purple-robed elder excitedly asked, "Cousin, when can we start refining this realm-breaking pill in large quantities?" Zhou Sen glanced at him and sighed softly. "It's hard to say yet. Let's talk after I refine the finished pill using this completed recipe." The Zhou family had seemed to sense something and said, "Elders, please don't interfere with third uncle's research on the recipe. I'll let you know when there's good news." For the next 3 days, Zhou Sen refined the pill using the recipe Su Chuan had completed. However, either the pill failed to form or the furnace produced a useless pill, leaving him perplexed. As for Su Chuan, he returned to his original courtyard and practiced in seclusion. "Father, when are we leaving the Zhou family?" Su Chuan asked, half-smiled. "Do you want to leave or not?" Father saw through me. Su Mingsen wasn't surprised. He said calmly, "This courtyard isn't the Zhou family's core area, but the spiritual energy is several times richer than that around the Bihan Pond." "Envy," Su Chuan said, "but this is the accumulation of the Zhou family's ancestors' tireless efforts over hundreds of years. In this respect, Our Su family is indeed far behind, but it's not impossible to catch up quickly. Oh, how? Su Mingxin piqued his curiosity. You'll know in a while. Although I've completed their elixir formula, this matter isn't over yet. I'm afraid it will take several more days. Su Mingxin's brows knitted slightly, suddenly drawing half an inch closer together, a look of worry on his face. Could it be the Zhou family? Su Chuan raised his hand and smiled. No, it's just that this recipe is similar to an ancient one, and it's extremely difficult to refine. Even at the peak of the 7th level of key training, I dare not slack off even a little. It also requires a specific refining process. The Zhou family's chief alchemist wouldn't be able to produce a finished elixir in just a few days just by experimenting with the recipe, but I, your father, can use this as an excuse to ask for a higher reward? Father, aren't you afraid? Father knows how to handle this matter. Seeing him say this, Su Mingxin didn't ask any further questions. Who was Su Chuan? He had painstakingly founded the Su family, and his understanding of human nature was the best Su Mingxin had ever seen. Alchemy room. A bang. A muffled sound came from the furnace, followed by thick black smoke. Failure again. Zhou Sen's brows furrowed, like a distant mountain shrouded in mist, making it impossible to see the direction. Something occurred to him, and he turned to look at Zhou Yiming. What was so special about fellow Taoist Sanchu when he refined the finished pill? Zhou Yiming thought carefully. It didn't seem to be much different. Wait, does sweating more than usual count? Was it harder than any time before? Probably. Zhou Sen stared at Zhou Yiming. Even if he wanted to blame him, he didn't know how. With his key training level of the 1st level and his shallow understanding of alchemy, how could he discover the mysteries of alchemy? He had to be at least at the 4th level of key training, with a birth of divine consciousness, to be able to explore and master the mystery of controlling objects with divine consciousness. With his key training level of the 7th level, refining a furnace of pills would make him so exhausted. Could there be a secret? Chapter 83 Reward. Zhou Sen was confident that with this recipe in hand, he could comprehend it thoroughly and refine a realm-breaking elixir. But for 3 days straight, he worried about when he would succeed. The Zhou family had already lavishly spent on this recipe. If another 3 to 5 months passed, how many spiritual herbs would be left to refine it? Even if he could succeed, the success rate would be pitifully low. He stroked his beard, pondering, his eyes flickering. A moment later, Yiming, please ask fellow Taoist Sanchu to come here. Yes, elder. Zhou Yiming bowed and left. He soon brought Su Chuan to the A-type alchemy room. Zhou Sen smiled and cupped his fists, saying, fellow Taoist Sanchu, what else did Elder Zhou want me to do? Are you trying to pay me so we can leave? Fellow Taoist, you've helped my Zhou family complete the elixir formula, which is a great service. If you have any requests, please let us know. As long as the Zhou family can afford it, we will satisfy them one by one. Su Chuan bowed. It's not easy to be a free cultivator. Before coming to Yuhu County, we got into a fight, and fellow Taoist Yunming and I lost our storage bags. That's a small matter, Zhou Sen said calmly. Also, does your mansion have any books on formations? I owe fellow Taoist Yunming a favor, and I promise to find the relevant books to repay him someday. Fellow Taoist Sanchu is a man of great loyalty and righteousness. My Zhou family will certainly help you in this matter. One last thing. Fellow Taoist Yunming and I would like to spend some time in the Yuhu County Xiuxin market. I wonder if you could give us 50 spirit stones, and please tell us where the market is. Xiuxin market? Zhou Sen pondered for a moment, then stroked his beard and smiled. This isn't difficult. My Zhou family also has property in Yuhu market. Once this matter is settled, I'll send someone to escort you to fellow Daoists there. Thank you, Su Chuan said, clasping his fists. Yiming, go get the items that fellow Taoist Sanchu needs. Yes, elder. After Zhou Yiming left, Su Chuan and Zhou Sen were the only ones left in the alchemy room. By the way, fellow Taoist Sanchu, Zhou Sen stroked his long beard, his eyes fixed, his tone suddenly becoming earnest. Regarding the refining of the elixir described in the recipe, I still have a few questions lingering in my mind. I'd like to ask you a few questions. Would you be willing to offer some guidance? I don't deserve any guidance. We're just learning from each other and exchanging ideas. Su Chuan didn't dare to be arrogant. Zhou Sen had granted all his requests before, all to pave the way for this matter. Naturally, he couldn't be more greedy, knowing full well that too much is as bad as too little. The reward just mentioned was enough for him and Su Mingxin to gain a foothold in Xiuxin market. Moreover, As a family of foundation building, the Zhou family must be deeply rooted in Yuhu market. If they want to take root, they will probably have to rely on their influence. Then, Chuan began to tell Zhou in detail about his previous alchemy experience and the problems he encountered. He even refined it on the spot for him to observe. This move also won Zhou's favor. It's really clever. Use Xiaoyang to transform Xiaoyang, use Xiaoyang to weaken Xiaoyang, use Xiaoyang fruit and other things to neutralize it. And then supplement it with other spiritual medicines that stabilize Yuan Qi to stimulate the growth of medicinal properties. The order of fusion of a medicinal liquid must be meticulous, and coupled with a strong divine consciousness, distracted to control the purified medicinal liquid so that it does not mix prematurely. Wonderful! 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 Zhou applauded and praised 3 times. Suddenly, he clapped his hands and sighed deeply, his eyes gleaming as he gazed upon Chuan's face. His white beard trembled with his breath. Fellow Taoist, your understanding of alchemy truly puts me to shame. I wouldn't dare. Seeing Chuan's mastery of alchemy, Zhou considered recruiting a new member for the Zhou family. With a foundation establishment cultivator at their helm, the Zhou family would surely thrive for decades. Elixirs are essential resources for immortal cultivation, but cultivating an alchemist is incredibly difficult. However, Zhou didn't hesitate. He began refining the elixir according to Chuan's suggestion. He failed the first time. He failed the second time. But by some chance, he succeeded the third time, producing a low-grade realm-breaking elixir. If sold at the market, this single elixir could easily fetch over a dozen alchemy ingredients. Of course, the Zhou family wasn't refining this elixir to sell, but rather to increase the number of late-stage key training cultivators within the family. After all, some cultivators were stuck at the 5th or 6th level due to limited aptitude. With this elixir, the Zhou family's overall foundation would rapidly increase. Soon, Zhou handed Chuan the items he had requested and had Zhou Yiming escort him back to the courtyard. He then went to see the Zhou family's patriarch. Third uncle, is Sanchu Taoist's attainments in alchemy truly so remarkable? The Zhou family's patriarch was surprised to see Zhou's praise. This was the first time he had heard his third uncle praise someone so highly. Zhou was deeply fascinated by alchemy and possessed considerable talent. He had been instrumental in the Zhou family's growth over the past few decades. However, this also led to his eccentricities, often causing him to be easily scolded even by his own clan. Perhaps this was the mutual admiration that alchemy geniuses share. Since third uncle has made a decision, the matter of recruiting him will be fully vested in your hands. Thank you, Patriarch. The next day, Chuan and his companions decided to leave the Zhou family. Upon their departure, Zhou and Zhou Yiming personally escorted them to the Yuhu market. There is also my Zhou family's alchemy shop in Yuhu market, and I often sit there to make alchemy, so that's how it is. Zhou nodded and said, Yuhu market is located in a secluded valley surrounded by mountains on 3 sides, 200 miles east of Yuhu County City. The valley is surrounded by mountains and forests, shrouded in formations and obscured by fog. Even a master can't get in if you are not a cultivator. Chuan sighed when he heard this. Even if the warriors above the innate level are no less powerful than us key training cultivators, and even within 20 or 30 steps, they can better fight by themselves, they are still warriors in the end. We cultivators have techniques, formations, and alchemy, which are worlds apart from the real ones. That's right, Zhou smiled, stroking his beard. Otherwise, how could the status of the immortal officials and martial arts halls of my great way be so different? A few hours later, as the group entered the forest, a white mist suddenly rose from the surroundings, like a gauze covering a tree, like cotton wool lingering on a path. Even though it's the simplest fog array, it's not something a mortal warrior can penetrate. The 4 men's eyes, shimmering with magical power, soon spotted the mountain path leading into the valley. Soon, they emerged from the mist, their path opening up. Surrounding them on 3 sides were mountains, towering and majestic. At the front of the valley stood a stone tablet, inscribed with the words Yuhu Market. Although this place isn't big, it's well equipped. We have alchemy shops, equipment refining shops, spiritual herb shops, and everything in between. There's also a small fair every 3 years. The key cultivating families of Yuhu County bring their treasures to market, and independent cultivators from all over the world gather here. Centuries-old spiritual herbs are not rare, and high-grade magical instruments are also traded. Zhou looked at Chuan and Su Mingxin and said, You 2 Daoists, traveling around the Great Way, I'm sure you're all used to it." Chuan and Su Mingxin smiled but said nothing. "Let's go." Led by Zhou Sen, the group arrived at the Zhou family's alchemy shop. Elder Zhou, seeing Zhou Sen, the Zhou family members bowed in greeting. Zhou Sen nodded slightly and said to Chuan, "Fellow Taoist Sanchu, there are vacant guest rooms behind the alchemy shop. You two can stay for a while." "Thank you very much," they said, bowing. That night. "Father, why are the Zhou family so enthusiastic? Do they want to recruit you?" Although the room had simple restrictions, they still communicated with each other through telepathy just in case. "It's not just me. I once asked for a manual on formations for you. They must have thought you were good at formations and probably wanted to recruit you too. However, I'll just agree. You don't have to get involved. Concentrate on practicing and studying formations. With your talent, it won't be long before you can make some achievements in formations. In view of the current needs of my Su family, you should first study the formation for gathering energy and spirits." Although Chuan didn't say it explicitly, Su Mingxin also knew that the formation for gathering spirits was designed for the medicinal fields and was also a plan for the future cultivation of the family's children. Su Mingxin pondered for a moment and asked again, "Father, do you really believe that I have a talent for formations?" Chapter 84, Remarks on the Release. Here are 4 quick points. 1. It will be available after midnight, so it might be a few minutes late too. Updates will exceed 20,000 words. 3. For every 100 monthly votes, 2,000 words will be added. 4. We will maintain a steady, gradual pace of growth going forward, building the Su family's foundation, developing with multiple people, multiple paths, and then feeding back to continue growing. Note 1. After the above, I have very few drafts left. Fellow Daoists, please be kind and don't use up all my resources. I'll push myself further and try to maintain a daily update of 8,000 words. Note 2. I don't believe I'll ever have a leader, but if I do, I'll grit my teeth and add another 10,000 words. I'll be satisfied with subscriptions and monthly votes. Note 3. Fellow Daoists who like and support me, please click the auto subscription button. That way, you won't have to follow along daily. After all, sometimes the plot gets a little thin in a few chapters, so you can read it coherently when you remember. On the path to immortality, you and I are all Daoists. Finally, I beg for your support. Please subscribe first, and vote for me. Chapter 85, Beginners in Formation Dao, Guest Scholar and Alchemy Dao. You can't fathom the secrets, just trust me, Chuan said with a faint smile. Su Mingxin nodded slightly and immediately returned to his room. After closing the door and unlocking the barrier, he delved into an initial explanation of the Dao of formations and a detailed explanation of the Zhuanzhen formation. The former contained some introductory knowledge of the Dao of formations, including its nature, how to deploy them, and the distinction between restrictions and formations. Su Mingxin also skimmed through the latter. It turned out to be the experience of a Taoist monk named Zhuanzhen in the Great Way. I have practiced Taoism for 100 years, but my talent is limited. Therefore, I have devoted my life to the study of formations, traveling far and wide. I once sought refuge with an aristocratic family, deploying formations for them, and later served as an immortal official in the Great Way, constantly striving for success. After a century, I finally realized that I had retired to the mountains and forests, leaving this book behind for future scholars to learn from. This book is not very comprehensive, consisting primarily of insights into various formations, commentaries on rare and large formations, and finally several formations he had researched and improved. Among them was the Spirit Gathering formation. There were also the Cloud and Mist formation, the Water and Fire Dragon formation, and the Earth Defense formation. Father is truly capable. An initial explanation of formations might be ordinary, but detailed explanation of the mysterious true formation must be quite valuable. A treasure text from the Zhou family's collection of formations. If it weren't for trying to win over Father, I definitely wouldn't have given it to him. But do I really have a talent for formations? Su Mingxin pondered for a moment, then cleared his mind and began to study an initial explanation of the mysterious true formation in earnest. Formations mostly use runes, array patterns, or natural spiritual objects as media to create channels for the flow of spiritual energy, concentrating, transforming, or blocking energy. There are illusion formations, killing formations, trapping formations, defensive formations, and auxiliary formations. For example, the Spirit Gathering formation described in detailed explanation of the mysterious True formation is an auxiliary formation, the Cloud and Mist formation is an illusion formation, and the Water and Fire Dragon formation is a killing formation. These are all the foundations of formations. Some advanced formations are complex formations, such as hidden killing and illusion and combined killing and trapping. Anyone with profound mastery of formations, even at the key training stage, can deploy high-level formations. Such individuals are invariably geniuses in formations. Formations rely even more on innate comprehension than alchemy, which is why, despite the Zhou family's wealth, they have only produced master alchemists, not formation masters. Despite Su Mingxin's internal doubts, he firmly believed his father wouldn't act without purpose. Therefore, he devoted himself to understanding the art of formations, so as not to disappoint Su Chuan. That night, Zhou Sen came to see Su Chuan. "Elder Zhou, what's the important matter that brings you here so late at night?" Zhou Sen had a kind face and said with a smile, "First, I came to ask how fellow Taoist Sanchu rested, and second, I wanted to ask what plans fellow Taoist has next." "Arrangements," Su Chuan pondered for a moment and said, "nothing more than returning to your old job, picking spiritual herbs and refining pills for the needs of cultivation. The excess pills can be traded for spirit stones, and then used to buy some magical instruments. In the last battle, all the magical instruments were destroyed, but fortunately I survived." "Yes," Zhou Sen sighed deeply, as if he remembered something, and his eyes showed sadness. "Many family members of my Zhou family also died while traveling outside. Fellow Taoist Sanchu is still lucky. He only lost some magical instruments and property. With fellow Taoist's alchemy skills, I'm afraid it won't take long to earn back all his savings. How can it be that easy? It will take more than 10 years. After that, the room suddenly became silent. Zhou Sen suddenly remembered his reasoning and immediately asked, "Fellow Taoist, have you ever considered that fighting alone is far less effective than relying on a powerful force?" Su Chuan's lips curled up slightly, a smile spreading across his face. "Could it be that Elder Zhou wishes to recruit me?" "Indeed," Zhou Sen said, "the elixir described in the previous recipe is quite difficult to refine. In my Zhou family, only this elder can make it, and the success rate is pitifully low. Furthermore, the remaining spiritual herbs in our clan are few and far between, so I'd like to ask for your assistance. What elixir is described in the recipe? The Realm Breakthrough Pill, which our clan's ancestor won from an ancient cultivator's cave. It can help those in the late stages of key training break through bottlenecks, but a maximum of 3 pills is allowed." "I see. However, I need to consider this matter for a few days. I hope Elder Zhou will forgive me, of course. My Zhou family isn't one of those demonic cultivators. Staying or leaving is up to your will, and we won't force anything." "Thank you," Su Chuan said, clasping his fists. Zhou Sen then left the room. Su Chuan didn't immediately agree, naturally leaving Zhou Sen with a cautious impression. His previous time at the Zhou family had already left him with a greedy impression. And greed and caution are characteristic of most independent cultivators. Over the course of 3 days, Su Chuan explored every shop and workshop in Yuhu Market. His primary goal was to understand the prices of cultivation items, such as elixirs for detoxification, healing, and mana enhancement. He also sought out custom-made and purchased magical instruments, flying swords, robes, and defensive items, all with different prices. He also looked at cultivation techniques, spiritual herbs, and so on. Su Chuan also saw 3 complete techniques acquired at great expense by the Su family. Of the 5 cultivation techniques currently in the Su family's possession, only the wood-attributed Eternal Spring technique was complete, the others could only be cultivated to the 7th level of key training. He bargained for a spirit stone and purchased a complete copy of Golden Sword technique. This technique was of a higher caliber than the Golden Yuan technique. A more common one, like the Golden Yuan technique, would have been unsold for even half a spirit stone. All the attic shops in Yuhu Market were either owned by Yuhu County's aristocratic cultivator families or by independent cultivators who had been operating here for a long time. As for the street vendors, they were all independent cultivators who would leave after only a few months. Low-grade magic tools are still a bit inferior for those in the late stages of key training. At least a mid-grade one is needed, but buying one myself is too costly, and I can't afford it right now. Let's see if I can snag one from the Zhou family." Returning to the alchemy shop, Su Chuan handed the golden sword art to Su Mingxin, asking him to practice it. He also gave him 20 spirit stones to use as materials for future formations. Su Mingxin put everything into a storage bag. The bag wasn't even beginner level, but rather a defective one. It was only 5 cubic feet, but it was enough for a few books and some spirit stones. A beginner level bag was several feet in diameter, but it cost 80 spirit stones. Even in a key cultivating family, only the elders could possibly possess it. 3 days later, Su Chuan went directly to Zhou Senator Elder Zhou. I've considered it and am willing to become a guest of the Zhou family. However, I have 3 conditions. I hope you will agree to them, otherwise this matter will be abandoned. What are they? Fellow Taoist, please tell me. Zhou Sen didn't dare to agree outright, fearing that Su Chuan, a wandering cultivator, would ask for too much. First, I can come and go freely, and the Zhou family cannot stop me. After all, fellow Taoist, you can see that I am close to the foundation building stage, and I will also travel to seek opportunities to build the foundation in the future. Second, a monthly salary of 5 spirit stones, and 1 out of every 6 pills I refine. Third, I am now unable to use any weapon to defend myself, and I hope the nobleman can give me a mid-grade magic weapon. Upon hearing this, Zhou Sen frowned slightly and pondered carefully. Independent cultivators value their freedom, and guest officials have little control. This is also the case with other guest officials in the clan. A monthly salary of 5 spirit stones isn't high for an alchemist like Sanchu Taoist, but he gets 1 out of every 6 he refines. Never mind. Ultimately, my Zhou family benefits more from this person's alchemy, but the last one, this one was what Zhou Sen struggled with the most. A mid-grade magical weapon was so valuable that it exceeded the spirit stone salary he would receive for a year of refining alchemy for the Zhou family. After a moment's hesitation, Zhou Sen looked directly at Su Chuan. Fellow Taoist Sanchu, I can agree to the first 2, but if you agree to refine alchemy for the Zhou family for at least 10 years, I will immediately request that the clan allocate a mid-grade magical weapon to you. Then a low-grade magical weapon would be fine. Right, then it will be. Zhou Sen, fearing Su Chuan would raise other conditions or give up on joining, agreed. Fellow Taoist Sanchu, I will ask my clan to send the guest token to you tomorrow. Thank you, Elder Zhou, Su Chuan said with a smile and bowed. Chapter 86 Zhou's Alchemy Shop. At noon the next day, Zhou Sen gathered all the servants, the shopkeeper, and 2 other guest alchemists from the Zhou family's alchemy shop in the back courtyard. Everyone, standing next to me is Taoist Sanchu. From now on, he will be our family's new guest alchemist. When I'm not in the market, guest Sanchu will be the chief alchemist. Besides buying and selling elixirs, all other matters will be handled by him. Su Chuan was somewhat flattered. He hadn't expected Zhou Sen to value him so highly. However, he wasn't sure if he truly valued him or if it was just a show for the crowd. Greetings, guest Sanchu. Greetings, fellow Taoist Sanchu. The others clasped their fists. Su Chuan scanned the group and could tell at a glance that the other 2 guests were somewhat displeased, while the others were more or less genuine. Perhaps because they were all Zhou family members and knew Zhou Sen well, the one he respected must be a master of alchemy. Alright, these 2 guests will stay, and the rest of you can go about your business. Suddenly, only the 4 of them were left in the courtyard. Zhou Sen then introduced Su Chuan to the other 2 guests. This is Ding Ming, fellow Taoist Ding. The other is Zuoqi Ufu, fellow Taoist Zuoqiu. Ding Ming was well-proportioned, with a short beard and ordinary features, appearing middle-aged. Zuoqi Ufu, on the other hand, was slightly plump, with a simple expression and graying hair. Su Chuan's mind swept over them and detected that the former was at the 5th level of key training, while the latter was only at the 6th level. Fellow Taoist Ding, fellow Taoist Zuoqiu, I perceive that you 2 seem somewhat dissatisfied with this elder's decision. Elder Zhou, that's too serious. We will naturally follow your instructions, Ding Ming said with a smile. Zhou Sen stroked his long beard and bowed his head, saying, that's best. Whether in terms of alchemy attainments or cultivation, you 2 are inferior to fellow Taoist Sanchu. Naturally, he should be your primary guide. Although Su Chuan had only begun martial arts in middle age, he had made rapid progress and was quite advanced, so he looked like he was not yet 40. Upon hearing what Zhou Sen said, he immediately used his divine sense to observe and discovered Su Chuan's key training level of the 7th level. Unless a cultivator possesses a method to suppress their breath or their cultivation levels differ significantly, divine sense can reveal another cultivator's realm. Fellow Taoisting, I'd like to trouble you to help fellow Taoist Sanchu familiarize yourself with the alchemy practices at my Zhou's alchemy shop. Zhou Sen then turned to Su Chuan. Fellow Taoist Sanchu, is there any problem starting alchemy tomorrow? What about fellow Taoist Yunming? If he wishes, he can stay in one of the guest rooms at my alchemy shop, and he's free to leave if he wants. Of course, if he possesses any special skills, he can join my Zhou family. Su Chuan smiled and nodded. Thank you very much. I'll inform fellow Taoist Yunming about this, but I don't know what he'll decide. Zhou Sen nodded and immediately left with fellow Taoist Zuo Qiu. Dingming took Su Chuan to tour the alchemy room first. The Zhou's alchemy shop only had 3 alchemy rooms. With Su Chuan becoming a guest official, Zhou Sen was likely to return to the Zhou family within a few days. Fellow Taoist Sanchu, this place is divided into 3 alchemy rooms, A, B, and C. Previously, Room A belonged to Elder Zhou Sen, but now that you're here, it's naturally yours. As for what elixirs to refine, it depends on the schedule. For example, if we run out of detoxification pills, we'll refine some. We'll also refine whichever elixirs are popular in the market. Su Chuan nodded slightly. He'd been to Yuhu Market, and he knew that Zhou's alchemy shop wasn't the only one selling elixirs. Competition creates motivation. This principle applies to both ordinary people and immortal cultivators. Can you let me study all the elixir recipes? I know a little about alchemy, but I've been traveling a lot, so I don't know many. Dingming, a fellow casual cultivator, was well aware of this. Back then, he'd exhausted himself trying to find a simple elixir recipe. Only after his alchemy skills improved and he gained a reputation did he find some peace of mind. 2 years ago, while the Zhou family was actively recruiting alchemists, he luckily passed the test and became a guest official, finally settling down. He'd been there ever since. When he first arrived, he only knew 3 common alchemy recipes, learning and practicing as he went. That's not a big deal. As long as you swear a Taoist vow in front of Elder Zhou Sen that you won't reveal the formulas, he'll definitely copy them down for you. Then I'll go find Elder Zhou. Senator Su Chuan didn't hesitate. He believed that with the formulas, his continued study of alchemy would allow him to refine them. This way, he wouldn't violate his Taoist vow and hinder his path. After hearing Su Chuan's words and witnessing his vow, Elder Zhou Sen pulled the copied formulas from his storage bag and gave them to him. How strange. Fellow Taoist Sanchu is indeed profoundly skilled in alchemy, but he even wants the most basic recipes for detoxification and healing pills, as if he's just starting out in the world of immortality. He stroked his long beard, pondered for a moment, and thought to himself, perhaps he wants to see if the recipes in my Zhou collection are similar to his. I was not mistaken. Fellow Taoist Sanchu is indeed as obsessed with alchemy as I am. That afternoon, Su Chuan began studying the recipes he had obtained. As expected, these recipes were several levels easier than those for realm-breaking pills, both in terms of ingredients and refining difficulty. The only thing that required careful attention was the control of the heat and the changes in the medicinal properties during the refining process. He requested 3 of each and tried refining them. He succeeded in refining the detoxification and healing pills on his first try, but they were not even of the lowest quality, nearly useless. A second, diligent attempt yielded a low-grade pill, producing 3, though 2 were useless. The third time was similar. Then came the pills for strengthening the body, restoring mana, and improving mana. The difficulty of each of these 3 types increased gradually. It took the third attempt to refine a low-grade pill for the solidifying yuan and returning yuan categories, while the advanced magic power category failed 3 times. Su Chuan requested 2 more advanced magic power elixirs. He worked late into the night before finally producing 2 low-grade pills. Su Chuan and the Zhou family had an agreement to collect 1 out of every 6 pills he made, so he kept a record of all his pills. Over a month passed in the blink of an eye. Su Chuan spent 4 hours refining pills daily, 5 hours meditating, and 3 hours studying recipes and poring over alchemy texts. This continued day after day, without interruption. During this time, the most successful pills were the returning yuan and advanced magic power categories. The returning yuan category had a 70% success rate, while the advanced magic power category had a 50% success rate. This success rate completely surpassed that of Dingming and Zuo Qiufu, who had been immersing themselves in these 2 categories for years, and was only slightly behind Zhou Senator. However, Su Chuan was still not satisfied. Although the success rate increased significantly, the number of pills produced per furnace remained at 3 or 4, all of them low grade. In alchemy, 9 is the ultimate. This means that a single furnace can only produce 9 pills at most. 9 high-grade pills represent the pinnacle of alchemy, the embodiment of perfect utilization of materials. Impurities in high-grade pills are minimal, and impurity-free pills are virtually non-existent. Time passed. Chuan hid away in the Zhou family, intensively studying alchemy, while Su Mingxin researched formations. 3 months passed, turning from summer to autumn. The valley where the Ranayu Lake Market was located was enveloped by a vast formation, making it spring-like all year round. "Father, I want to find some materials to test the formation," Su Mingxin telepathically transmitted. "Yunyu, have you gained some understanding?" Chuan was overjoyed. Comprehending formations was far more difficult than alchemy. Although he had bestowed upon Su Mingxin the innate talent of the 9 palaces Daoyan, he hadn't expected Su Mingxin to achieve this understanding in just 4 months. "Well, go find some materials. If you're short on spirit stones, I'll take whatever I have. My elixirs can also be exchanged for spirit stones." Su Mingxin nodded slightly and left Chuan's room. He had gone out a few times in the past few months, strolling through the market. Generally speaking, safety in the market was guaranteed. Everyone tacitly followed a rule: don't cause trouble in the market. Those with grudges would go out and settle their disputes. Chapter 87 Another annual festival. Su Mingxin went out and bought a dozen pieces of spirit iron for 2 spirit stones. The price of spirit iron, spirit herbs, and the like differed significantly from that of finished magical instruments and elixirs. While this spirit iron was of low grade, it was enough for someone skilled in weapon refining to forge 2 low-grade flying swords. Of course, just like alchemy, weapon refining couldn't guarantee success on the first try. Any failure would result in all the previous efforts being wasted. Su Mingxin wanted this spirit iron to practice carving array patterns, serving as the foundation for his formations. While spirit stones are excellent materials, they aren't as hard as spirit iron. A single failure could render the spirit stones useless. For Su Mingxin's current situation, spirit stones were too precious. However, spirit iron was strong enough to withstand repeated array pattern drawing and could be recycled, making it perfect for a novice. Afterward, Su Mingxin remained in his room practicing his formations. Like Chuan, he spent his days balancing formation study and cultivation. 1 month, 2 months, the clouds were setting at the end of the year, and the handle of the Big Dipper returned to the sign of the tiger. Young children compete for the new calendar, while old men count the old ones. In the blink of an eye, it's the annual festival again. Dongxi village, Su's family. In previous years, all the Su family members would gather in the hall for a family reunion. Although almost everyone is here now, there are fewer people who are happy and more who are depressed. "Let's eat." After Bai Jing said that, everyone picked up their chopsticks. The youngest Su Deru and Su Delhan still need to be fed by their mother, but they also have chicken legs, chicken wings and other things in their hands, staring at them with shining eyes. From time to time, they take a bite, and their little hands are covered with grease, as are the corners of their mouths. Su Deziao, Su Duan and Su Dejing are well behaved, and their etiquette and demeanor are extraordinary. Su Diliang sits quietly beside Yang Ronghu. Bai Jing glances at them, a smile on her lips, but when she thinks of Su Chuan and Su Mingxin who are outside, she puts down her chopsticks and lets out a long sigh. Su Mingwei, beside her, saw this and said with concern, "Mom, you're thinking about Dad again. This is the first time he's been away for so long. I always feel like he's getting further and further away. Every time I wake up in the middle of the night, I see his back. He's right in front of me, but I can't reach him." Su Mingwei sighed softly. He knew his father's ambition was to achieve immortality. His heart for the Tao was far stronger than theirs. He studied the graying hair at Bai Jing's temples, feeling a pang of sorrow. Bai Jing had never practiced martial arts, let alone cultivating immortality. She was already aging, and she feared she would be gone in 20 or 30 years at most. "Mom, Dad must be missing you somewhere too," Su Mingwei said. "I believe so," Bai Jing smiled. "Your father is a loyal man, unique, but also ambitious." "Mom, why didn't you practice martial arts together in your early years?" Su Mingxin asked curiously. "Why should I practice martial arts? I'm not like Russian. Ask your sister-in-law why she doesn't practice martial arts either." Yang Ronghu smiled faintly. I don't like martial arts in the first place. And I don't have much talent. For many people, a stable life is the greatest blessing in life, Bai Jing said slowly. Your father asked me about it, but I didn't want to. The words stopped abruptly. Well, today is a day of reunion, and it's inappropriate to talk about such sad things. Come, let's raise our glasses and drink together. May the Su family achieve greater success in the coming year. Greater success, Yu Hu Market. Su Chuan and Su Mingxin enjoyed a drink under the moon. Su Mingxin took in the expression on his face and whispered, "Are you missing mother and the others?" Su Chuan smiled back and took a sip. "Yes, I've been with your mother for over 30 years, but this is the first time we've been apart for such a long time. It's also the first time we haven't been together for the annual sacrifice, but for the longevity of the Su family, you and I are destined to be pioneers, pathfinders. Yunyu, you won't blame father, will you?" Su Mingxin shook his head, also looking up at the sky. "Father's ambition is also mine. I wish to be the foundation of the Su family. Besides, I also enjoy the path of immortal cultivation." Haha, Su Chuan patted Su Mingxin's shoulder. "That's good, then. You and I, father and son, will work together." Yuhu County City. Yang Zhao's residence. At the dinner table, Yang Zhao suddenly spoke. "My uncle told me today that he wants me to become the head of the Yang family. What are your thoughts?" Wen Jing's face lit up. "Father, you should have agreed long ago," Madame Yang said. "Whatever your choice, my husband, I will always be with you." Changer, what do you think? It would certainly be beneficial for our family if my father became the head of the Yang family, but he's already a county lieutenant and has a lot of official duties to attend to. How can he get away? Is that all you think? Yang Zhao was slightly disappointed, feeling that his son's thinking was a little naive. Yang Wenfeng's primary reason for appointing him as head of the Yang family was probably to establish a good relationship with the Su family. His uncle must have recognized the Su family's potential far greater than he'd imagined and wanted to draw them in. "I'm sorry to disappoint you, father," Yang Shichen said, preferring to be straightforward. "Well, I'll think about it. Let's all start eating," Yang Zhao said calmly. A few days later, citing his busy schedule and limited talent, Yang Zhao ultimately declined Yang Wenfeng's offer. Another month passed in a flash. At Yuhu Market, 7 pills, 4 mid-grade, 3 low-grade. Looking at a furnace of newly refined pills, Su Chuan's face lit up with joy. Over the past year, his alchemy skills had greatly improved, and the number of pills he produced had increased. He had become the hallmark of the Zhou's alchemy shop. Since Su Chuan could consistently refine mid-grade pills, his monthly salary had increased from 5 spirit stones to 7. Zhou Sen even promised that if Su Chuan could consistently refine top-grade pills, his salary would rise to 15. Even Zhou Sen, after decades of immersing himself in these recipes, could only consistently refine mid-grade pills, occasionally producing a few batches of top-grade pills. He was already a renowned alchemist in Yuhu Market. If Su Chuan could truly consistently refine top-grade pills, it would mean his alchemy skills had truly reached the master level. Even if it was only 20 spirit stones a month, the Zhou family would happily pay him. However, Su Chuan and the Zhou family still had an agreement to refine 6 pills and pick 1 out of 6. Over time, he had accumulated a considerable supply of low-grade and several mid-grade pills. A bottle of low-grade healing pills, containing 12 pills, cost 3 spirit stones, but a bottle filled entirely with mid-grade pills would be worth 5. High-grade pills would be worth 8 spirit stones. Elixirs that restored essence or improved mana would be even more expensive. However, even with Su Chuan's talent, it would likely take him a year or 2 to achieve this. Meanwhile, Su Mingxin's experiments with formations had yielded results. He had successfully engraved formation patterns on spirit iron with his divine consciousness, and now he was experimenting with the arrangement of a spirit gathering formation. However, before that, he had to experiment with the key guiding formation, the foundation of the spirit gathering formation. Combining 6 key guiding formations, coupled with the interconnected spirit gathering formation patterns, would form the grand spirit gathering formation. These spirit irons were merely the lowest grade spiritual materials, containing less than 1/10 of the spiritual energy of a spirit stone. Even if successfully arranged, the effect would be minimal. If a large formation could be arranged using the nodes of spiritual veins, or the terrain of mountains and rivers, it would be powerful enough to burn mountains and boil seas. Of course, A formation of this level would not be recorded in a small book like the beginning of the Way of Formations. The more advanced the skills and formations, the more difficult it would be to preserve them. Most of the things that can be recorded in the form of text, in the form of classics, are low-level things. Su Mingxin experimented for half a month. When he didn't have enough materials, he went out to buy them. After several attempts, he finally carved a complete key-inducing formation on a piece of spiritual iron. Once the formation is completed, it will attract the power of the surrounding heaven and earth, attract spiritual energy from all directions, and then move towards the center of the formation. After a long time, a light mist can be formed. Finally, I have carved out the first formation. Chapter 88. Do I really have a talent for formations? The cloud and mist formation at Yuhu Market, for example, also had key drawing patterns as its foundation, but it was only with a much larger number that such clouds could be gathered. Afterwards, Su Mingxin continued experimenting until he could quickly deploy a key drawing formation. Next, he comprehended the patterns for gathering spirits, linking multiple key drawing formations to exponentially increase the speed of gathering spirits. He also mastered the art of locking spirits. This focused all spiritual energy within a certain area, preventing it from dispersing. The more powerful the spirit gathering formation, the wider the range it could gather. Time passed quickly. After half a year of painstaking research, Su Mingxin finally constructed a rudimentary spirit gathering formation using multiple pieces of spirit iron. He tried it himself, but it only increased his cultivation speed by half. That's faster than I expected. Could it be that I'm truly gifted in the art of formations? As my father said, once I become more proficient, I'll find a way to refine an array plate or flag, so I can carry it with me. But should I hire someone to refine it, or learn some basic refining techniques myself? Su Mingxin hesitated for a moment before deciding to purchase a manual on refining. He spent 2 spirit stones on a copy of the true explanation of refining for beginners. Even if he couldn't master it himself, he could leave it to future generations of his clan to study. The most basic refining techniques weren't that difficult. The art of formations is easy to learn but difficult to master. Unlike the art of formations and the art of alchemy, which are both difficult to master at the beginning. It took a little over 2 months, and Su Mingxin became a refining apprentice. Moreover, before he knew it, he had reached the 7th level of key training. His swallowing mountains and rivers innate talent gave him a natural spiritual gathering array-like speed in his cultivation. Combined with his true spiritual roots, his speed was no slower than Chuan's. Even now, without the nourishment of the herbal essences from the medicine garden, Chuan's progress was somewhat slower than it had been at the Bihom Pond. He had only recently broken through to the 8th level of key training. However, he still possessed the gift of Heaven Rewards Diligence, a natural endowment. With Chuan's tireless practice, this endowment would continuously enhance his cultivation speed. This endowment was arguably the most crucial factor in Chuan's advancement to this point. Su Mingxin followed the path of formations, while Chuan followed the path of alchemy. As father and son diligently pursued their respective paths of cultivation, they were bound to advance even further. One day, Chuan arrived at the Balianqi workshop. The owner, surnamed Wu, was a cultivator at the peak of the 8th level of key training. His refinement skills were unparalleled in Yuhu Market. He was a casual cultivator who had settled in Yuhu Market 5 or 6 years ago and had 3 or 5 apprentice refiners. Senior, are you looking to purchase a magical instrument or customize one? A 17 or 18-year-old key training 2nd level cultivator greeted Chuan with a smile. I'm looking for Master Wu to order a custom-made magical instrument. Please wait a moment, Senior. I'll go find my master. The young monk turned and walked through a side passage to the back of the workshop. A moment later, a burly, gray-haired old man in his 70s or 80s emerged. Are you looking for a custom-made magical instrument? What's your name? I'm Taoist Sanshu, so you're the renowned alchemist at Zhou's alchemy shop. I've long heard of you. Please take a seat. The 2 men sat down. The young monk poured tea for them and then stood quietly by. What kind of magic weapon do you want to customize, fellow Taoist Sanshu? What grade? A mid-grade magic weapon, a precious bow and matching arrows. The bow requires the perfect strength of a grandmaster to pull it open, and it is mainly of gold attribute. Master Wu's eyelids drooped slightly, and his black pupils shrank suddenly as if being pinched by fingers. After pondering for a moment, he slowly said, this kind of strength is needed just to pull it open. It may be difficult to sustain it unless you are a late-stage grandmaster. This magic weapon is not what you need, fellow Taoist. A good friend wants a bow and arrow and wants to give it to him as a gift. A mid-grade magic weapon as a gift, and a bow and arrow at that, is quite a big deal. Thank you for saving my life. Chuan smiled faintly and said casually. I see, no wonder. Master Wu bowed his head. But bows and arrows are even more difficult to refine than flying swords, so they're quite expensive. With Master Wu's skill in refining, a mere mid-grade magical weapon should be easily craftable. Please offer a price. If it's truly unaffordable, I'll have no choice but to give up. Chuan understood what he meant. If Master Wu was aiming for a huge profit, he would have to give up. He might be the only one in Yuhu market who could refine top-grade magical weapons, but there were several who could refine mid-grade ones. Master Wu pondered for a moment, then spoke slowly. A mid-grade magical weapon costs between 80 and 120 spirit stones. The precious bow costs 80 spirit stones. 9 arrows, even if they were all low-grade, will cost 60 or 70 spirit stones. Including materials and refining costs, 200 spirit stones is a good price. Of course, if you provide the materials, I'll give you 170 spirit stones. Upon hearing this, Chuan fell silent. There aren't any bows or arrows in the entire Yuhu market. After all, immortal cultivators aren't good with physical strength, Master Wu added. If you're willing to lower the grade, then it'll be easy. It'll cost no more than 40 or 50 spirit stones. He then took a sip of tea, giving Chuan time to consider. A moment later, Chuan touched his storage bag, and a small porcelain bottle flew out. Master Wu, take a look at this pill. What do you think it's worth? Master Wu took the bottle and poured out a strange, grayish-white pill. Its fragrance was so strong that it even made his throat loosen. A look of surprise crossed his face. What is this pill? Chuan waved his hand, collecting the pill to prevent its properties from being lost. I found this in a certain cave, using an ancient elixir recipe. It's said to be effective in breaking through bottlenecks in the late stages of key training, and its effectiveness is 50% to 60% greater than current bottleneck-breaking elixirs. Are you serious? I wouldn't deceive Master Wu. Master Wu's gaze narrowed slightly, his fingertips tapping lightly on the sandalwood table. After a moment, he said, if that's the case, this elixir is worth 60 spirit stones. Master Wu happened to be at the peak of the 8th level of key training, stuck at this bottleneck for years, unable to break through. Otherwise, he wouldn't have offered such a high price. It's still a bit expensive, Chuan thought to himself. He naturally wanted to refine a mid-grade treasured bow. After Su Mingwei reached Grandmaster perfection, he would also attain the immortal path. Even if his key transformation didn't allow him to reach the 9th level of key training, he could still reach the 7th or 8th level. In his hands, this mid-grade treasured bow would be as powerful as a top-grade magical weapon. It would be a vital weapon for the Su family to intimidate other key training families. But after deducting the 60 spirit stones for the elixir, the cost of the elixir would still be 140 spirit stones. For him at this moment, it is a huge expense. Moreover, Su Mingxin also needs spirit stone reserves for studying the magic array. Can other pills for improving mana be used as compensation? Chuan asked. Master Wu pondered for a moment, and suddenly thought of his grandson. By the way, Joseon was not confident in refining the bone-strengthening pill with 3 ingredients before. I wonder how confident this person is. The pills for improving mana are far inferior to the previous one that broke through the bottleneck. I am not short of them. Master Wu paused, and then said, however, if fellow Taoist Sanchu can accomplish something, some spirit stones can be reduced. What is it? Master Wu slapped his storage bag and took out a pill recipe. The pill recipe flew in front of Chuan. Chuan scanned it with his mind and memorized all the contents on it in a short while. Bone strengthening pill. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89 Bone Strengthening Pill. This elixir recipe is an ancient elixir recipe that I, Wu, collected at a great cost. Master Wu said, the bone strengthening pill, as the name suggests, strengthens bones and can improve physical constitution. This pill is most suitable for teenagers under the age of 12, but it will be of little use after the age of 18. I have a grandson, who is now 8 years old. Because his mother was injured, he was born with a weak body and it is difficult for him to live past the age of 20. His parents are both dead, and I, Wu, only have this grandson. My only hope in this life is that he grows up healthy and lives a peaceful life. And this bone-strengthening pill is where that hope lies. However, the elixir recipe contains a main ingredient, the withered bone flower, which is extremely rare. I asked people to search everywhere, but only found 3, a total of 3 ingredients. I also asked Elder Josen of your Joe's pill shop for help, but he was only half sure, so I can only put it on hold for the time being. Master Wu looked directly at Chuan. If fellow Taoist Sanchu can make this pill, 1 pill can be worth 40 spirit stones, with no upper limit. Most ancient elixir recipes are difficult to refine. I can only try my best. Thank you, fellow Taoist. Master Wu, as if seeing hope, stood up and bowed solemnly. But I also have a condition. Please first refine the magic weapon for me. As for the bone-strengthening pill, I still need to study it for a while. Once I am confident, I will try to refine it, at most 6 months, or 3 or 4 months at the fastest. There will be results, I agree. I will also hand over these 3 bone-strengthening pill ingredients to you. I hope you will save my grandson's life. Chuan nodded. He was now not far from the level of refining top-grade pills. 3 or 4 months was his estimated timeline. Once he was confident in refining top-grade pills, coupled with his superb control over the properties of spiritual herbs, he was confident of successfully refining a full batch of 3 ingredients. After all, Chuan was no longer the novice alchemist who had just started over a year ago. Admittedly, a recipe of this difficulty only required 3 ingredients. To achieve a mid-grade or higher elixir, it would be impossible unless one was extremely lucky. A few days later, Master Wu gathered the ingredients and began refining the precious bow. With his grandson's life in Chuan's hands, he gave it his all. Half a month later, the Balian Kafeng sent someone to Zhou's alchemy shop to inform them that the custom-made magical instrument had been refined. Chuan immediately went to inspect it. Fellow Taoist Sanchu, you've lived up to my expectations. This bow was refined in one go, with remarkable smoothness. Master Wu laughed heartily as he introduced it. This bow weighs 3,000 pounds. It's impossible to lift it without the strength of an innate warrior. Both a bow and bowstring are made from the material of the Black Ink Dragon, a demon beast at the 7th level of key training. As you requested, only a grandmaster with a perfect strength can draw the bow to its full potential. It has 9 arrows, each feathered by a demon beast. They're all low-grade magical instruments. Their power alone is far inferior to that of a normal low-grade flying sword. But when combined with a precious bow, they can be drawn with pure ki and activated with magical force, reaching power approaching that of a high-grade magical instrument. Furthermore, the arrows and the precious bow are interconnected, allowing a cultivator to recall them upon activating the bow. I've named this bow the Ink Dragon Bow. This fusion of immortality and martial arts is truly a masterpiece of mine. I wonder if your friend could wield it, perhaps. Chuan stroked the bow. The bow was a deep black, adorned with animal patterns, giving it a rugged and powerful appearance. He immediately clasped his fists to Master Wu and said, "Thank you very much, Master Wu. I will do my best to help you with a bone-strengthening pill. Thank you very much." Returning to Zhou's pill shop, Chuan summoned Su Mingxin and said, "Give this bow to your eldest brother. Is it a mid-grade magical weapon?" Su Mingxin observed it carefully, a look of surprise on his face. "Your eldest brother wishes to pursue both immortal and martial cultivation. Once he transitions to immortality, this bow will possess the power comparable to a top-grade magical weapon in his hands. It will be a major trump card for our Su family." Su Mingxin nodded in agreement. That day, they left Yuhu Market and headed for Qingjiang County. Because his storage bag was too small and the bow had yet to be refined, Su Mingxin had no choice but to carry it on his back. Fortunately, he possessed the physique of a congenitally perfected warrior. Otherwise, he would have had to rely on his mana to support it, which would have been prohibitively expensive. If he encountered danger along the way, his situation would have been very troublesome. Yet, Su Mingxin encountered only one such villain on his journey, a peak-level cultivator leading a group of 17 or 18. He possessed a calm demeanor, and aside from his concern for his family, the lives of others were of little concern to him. With a simple incantation, he conjured a golden flying sword. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In a flash of golden light, Su Mingxin's sword finger slashed through the air, and in the blink of an eye, their throats were slashed, sending blood spurting out. Without a moment to cry out, "Master, spare me," they collapsed one after another in a pool of blood. Su Mingxin stepped over them, took a few steps, then returned, feeling them all over. Father said, "After killing someone, don't forget to touch the corpse. Even a vast empire of wealth is built bit by bit, over 1,000 tales, and 2 martial arts manuals. The silver armor this leader is wearing looks nice, protecting against swords and axes, but it seems to be women's." Su Mingxin smiled quizzically. To think someone actually has such a hobby. The world is going downhill. Su Mingxin was incredibly fast, reaching King Jiang in just over a day. Without this precious bow, he might have been able to fly on his sword and reach King Jiang in 2 or 3 hours. Fifth Master, a guard, sharp-eyed, recognized the young man carrying the precious bow as Su Mingxin and exclaimed in surprise, "Are you back from your travels?" The Su household suddenly became bustling with activity. Besides Su Mingying and Su Mingxin, who were working in Hui's county, Bai Jing, Su Mingwei and his wife, Su Mingshu, and the rest of the Su family's younger generation surrounded Su Mingxin. Fifth uncle, Su Dezhao, along with his younger brothers and sisters, bowed respectfully to Su Mingxin. Su Mingxin smiled slightly, nodding slightly. "Yunyu, why are you alone? Where's father?" Su Mingshu glanced around, slightly disappointed. Su Mingwei and Bai Jing watched silently, awaiting a response. "Mother, don't worry. Father is fine. He told me to come back and give this bow to my eldest brother." Su Mingxin untied the precious bow and handed it to him, along with the arrows. Su Mingwei's eyes constricted as he took it. Bow and arrows stacked together weighed several thousand pounds. "Fifth uncle, what kind of bow is this? It looks extraordinary, like the aura of a prehistoric beast, vaguely resembling Uncle Bai." The Uncle Bai Su Dezhao was referring to was the white tiger. Su Mingxin rubbed his head and said with a smile, "This is the Mojiao bow. The bow and bowstring are made from materials from the demonic beast Chuan Mojiao, infused with some spiritual iron. The same is true for the 9 arrows, magic beast materials." Su Dezhao's eyes gleamed. Su Mingxin turned to Su Mingwei and said, "Brother, this bow was crafted by my father at great expense. If you encounter a strong enemy, you can use it." Su Mingwei put down his arrows, stepped aside, and immediately took a bow stance, drawing the bow diagonally upward. Su Mingwei's brows furrowed slightly, thinking to himself, "I'm now at the peak of the early Grandmaster stage, half a step into the middle stage. My strength far surpasses my peers, and I could rival those of the late Grandmaster stage. How can I not draw this bow to its full draw?" "Not even close," Su Mingshu asked in surprise. "Brother, you're a Grandmaster, and you can't draw it to its full draw. How about you try?" Su Mingwei moved the ink dragon bow in front of Su Mingshu. "Give it a try." Then, Su Mingshu immediately took it, and the next moment the ink dragon bow fell heavily to the ground, shattering the bluestone bricks. "If you destroy a piece of bluestone brick, it will be deducted from your monthly salary." "Brother, you are cheating me." Su Mingshu's beautiful eyes widened, her face showing astonishment, and she looked back at Su Mingxin. "Yunyu, this damn Mojiao bow is too heavy. Is it even usable by a human?" Su Mingwei sneered. "Zuji, this bow was specially forged for me by my father. Are you taking this opportunity to call me a non-human? The head of the family now declares that your monthly salary is gone." "Brother, my good brother." Chapter 90 Grandmaster Mid-Stage, County City News. Su Mingxin handed over all the money and silver armor he'd looted from the bandits he encountered along the way to Su Mingwei. Bai Jing asked, "Are you leaving yet?" Su Mingxin nodded. "Father's away alone. I have to go help him." "That's good. With you by his side, Mother will be a little more at ease. When you see your father, tell him everything's fine at home, and I'm fine too." "Yunyu, tell father that Zuji misses him terribly. I miss Grandpa, too." Su Dezhao, Su Dejing, and the others chimed in. The youngest, Su Deru and Su Dehan, had little memory of Su Chuan, nor did they have much of the memory of their fifth uncle. They simply stared at him curiously from their mother's arms. After staying at home for an hour, Su Mingxin said goodbye. He handed over copies of Introduction to Weapon Refining, Compendium of Spiritual Herbs, Introduction to Formation, Detailed Explanation of the Mysterious Formation, and Golden Sword Technique to Su Mingwei, instructing him to store them in the Ancestral Hall. He also informed him of his and Su Chuan's current residence, as well as Su Chuan's recent situation. After Su Mingxin had retreated some distance from the Su family, he summoned his flying sword from his storage bag and, soaring aloft, transformed into a streak of golden light and vanished into the distant sky. Over 2 hours later, he returned to Yuhu Market. Late at night, he arrived at Sichuan's room and relayed Bai Jing and the others' words to him. Your mother is a woman of great principles, while Zuji still has a bit of a childish streak. Don't worry, Yunyu, we'll be able to return to the Su family within 3 or 4 years. You should concentrate on studying the art of formations. It will be of great use upon your return. I understand, my child. The two communicated telepathically, unfazed by the risk of leaking their thoughts. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. Su family. Nanshan courtyard. Su Mingwei stood in the center, his breath thundering. His muscles and bones vibrated, his energy surged, as if he had transformed into a dragon or an elephant, emitting waves of dragon roars and elephant cries. The moment his eyes opened, 2 beams of tangible light burst forth, like streams of innate energy, powerful enough to pierce through metal and stone. My eyes seemed to have changed. They seemed to be able to condense sword energy, transforming the imaginary into reality, possessing real killing power. How miraculous! Of all my father's children, only I have eyes like these. Never mind. Su Mingwei stopped dwelling on it. He had finally broken through to the mid-stage Grandmaster stage, his strength increasing several times again. He turned to gaze at the black dragon bow standing on the ground. Its aura alone was enough to drive away even the most ferocious beasts. He stepped forward, his 5 fingers like steel clamps, gripping the bow's frame. His Danshan weight lead, his waist and spine like a dragon's tail, his strength radiating through his shoulders and radiating into his arm blades. He drew the bow. The sound of thunder rumbled through his muscles and bones, and the black dragon bow curved like a full moon, open. Although it's a bit reluctant, I have done it. With the support of the innate true energy, it is not impossible to shoot dozens of arrows in a row. At this time, Su Mingyin happened to come over, and seeing Su Mingwei's figure, he couldn't help but praise. What strength, good skills, brother, this is the black dragon bow. Su Mingwei nodded and smiled. Exactly, now I have broken through to the middle stage of the Grandmaster. No one below the Grandmaster's perfection can stop me. With all my strength, I am confident that I can kill someone in the late Grandmaster's stage. If I use this black dragon bow, Su Mingwei raised the corners of his mouth slightly, stroking the black dragon bow, his eyebrows flying with joy, his eyes bursting with brilliance. I can also kill someone with the Grandmaster's perfection. Su Mingyin stared at the black dragon bow with a sharp gaze, savoring it. That is really partial. Last time he gave you frost-breaking clouds, and now he gives you the black dragon bow again. By the way, what grade is this bow? Yunyu said it was a mid-grade magic weapon, and the 9 arrows are low-grade magic weapons. Hearing this, Su Mingyin took a breath of cold air and said in horror, a complete set of magical bows and arrows. This Mojiao bow is actually a mid-grade magical weapon. Why are you so surprised? Su Mingyin said, brother, you don't know, but I know something about immortal cultivators. Magic weapons are the weapons of immortal cultivators, and they can only be traded with spirit stones or other equivalent items needed by mortal cultivators. A mid-grade magical weapon, even for a top-notch 6th-grade martial arts family like the Yang family, it would take 20 to 30 years to gather the equivalent immortal cultivation resources with a combined strength of the entire clan. That's right, Su Mingwei nodded and said, without the ability of immortal cultivators to fly and escape, those rare spiritual flowers and herbs growing in the valley, or the monsters in the depths of the mountains and swamps, are very difficult to find. Su Mingyin's eyes showed admiration. Dad has only been on the immortal path for a few years, and he can actually trade for a mid-grade magical weapon. Otherwise, how can he be the father of us? Su Mingwei laughed. After a while, Su Mingyin slapped his forehead and said, I almost forgot something important. Our people in the county capital heard that the Yang family has a new head. Oh, Su Mingwei's face was expressionless. When did it happen? Half a month ago. I know about this, Su Mingwei said calmly. Also, there's a message over there saying that the old head of the Yang family wanted your father-in-law to become the head of the family. Huh? Wanted my father-in-law to win over my Su family? But he didn't agree. Su Mingwei was slightly surprised. Su Mingyin said, perhaps it's because of what happened last time. Uncle Yang still feels guilty. Although he's sharp-minded, he's not one for cunning tricks. But this also shows that although the Yang family is huge, it's internally divided and not as stable as my Su family. This is worth learning from. If things continue for a long time, there's no guarantee that my Su family will face the same situation in the future, Su Mingwei seemed to be thinking. Big brother is right, what else? Su Mingwei looked at Su Mingyin, and seeing that he seemed embarrassed, he smiled lightly and said, "You and I are brothers, there is no need to hesitate, just say it directly if you have something to say. It's still a matter of the county city, but it involves the Chang family." Recently, the Chang family's appetite seems to be getting bigger and bigger, and they are no longer satisfied with a 50% profit. Greed is human nature, Su Mingyin said after pondering. What do you plan to do? Refuse. The Chang family is in the county city, and its foundation is slightly better than that of the Yang family. There are also top martial arts masters in the family. I can't act rashly, otherwise the Su family's foundation will be revealed in advance. I must find a stronger force in the county city that can suppress the Chang family. That's what I'm thinking about too. If Big Brother has a good idea, then there's nothing wrong. If not, I plan to give up those open forces and only keep the secret forces, and keep an eye on the movements in the county city, Su Mingwei said. The Chang family is a 5th rank family. To be able to intimidate someone, even if they aren't 4th rank, they'd have to be a top-tier 5th rank family, Su Mingwei muttered to himself, and suddenly his eyes gleamed. Oh, right, the Zhou family. Earlier, Yun Nu came back and told me that my father is now an alchemist, serving as a guest at the Zhou's alchemy shop in Yuhu Market. Su Mingyin was slightly startled. Brother, are you talking about the Zhou family, who were recently promoted to the 4th rank in Yuhu County? I guess it's this Zhou family, then there's a way to maneuver. I might even make the Chang family spit out everything my Su family has eaten over the past few years. Su Mingyin smiled sternly and said, a 4th rank family can only be achieved by a family of immortal cultivators, and they must have at least a cultivator in the foundation establishment stage. A 5th rank family is nothing compared to that. Don't reveal my father's identity as a guest of the Zhou family, Su Mingwei reminded him. Of course. Chapter 91, Delivering Cards to Your Door. December 24th. Yuhu Market, today's divination, average to high. Your second son, Su Mingyin, is using the Zhou family's name to negotiate with the Chang family, hoping to completely reclaim the inheritance and establish himself in the county capital. This kid is truly audacious. Chuan had basically consulted his family's fortunes. Half a month ago, the divination indicated that Su Mingwei had broken through to the mid-stage Grandmaster stage, which pleased him greatly. Now, it's average to high, with a chance of success, but also a possibility of failure. Chuan pondered. Yuan's attempt to leverage the Zhou family's influence is still a bit lacking. Words are not enough, and the Chang family is not likely to be gullible. He approached the door of Su Mingxin's room and knocked twice. Who is it, fellow Taoist Yunming? It's me. The restriction dissipated, and the door opened. After Su Chuan entered, the restriction closed again. What does father want to see me about? Your second brother will arrive in Yuhu County City today to deal with the Chang family and completely recover the profits of my Su family's shop. You take my guest token and go there, give it to Mingyin, and then stay in the county city, protect him secretly until the matter is settled, and then return. I'll go now. It just so happens that I made a few simple jade pendants in 2 months, which can withstand 3 attacks from the early innate stage, or a full strength attack from the middle innate stage. Bring them to your second brother and let them take them home to give to the younger generations in the clan. You are quick in comprehending the formation, and you have already learned the defensive formation pattern. Su Chuan smiled lightly. The art of formations is difficult to master, and the spirit-gathering formations are no easy feat either. Even I've mastered them, so a simple defensive pattern combination jade token shouldn't be a piece of cake. As father said, I'm truly gifted in the art of formations. You're being less modest now, Su Chuan said, chuckling. Did you doubt yourself deeply at first? Su Mingxin chuckled, took the guest token, made a hand gesture, and placed it in his storage bag. Then he left Yuhu Market and headed for Yuhu County City. Su Chuan, unfazed, quietly refined his elixirs. In recent days, he's already created 7 elixirs, 5 mid-grade and 2 low-grade. His success rate for mid-grade pills alone surpasses Joseon's. He felt he'd reached a bottleneck in both the temperature and the control of the medicinal properties during alchemy. Another breakthrough would allow him to refine top-grade elixirs. The opportunity wasn't far off. Yuhu County City. Several miles from the city gate, Su Mingxin waited. Less than half an hour later, Su Mingyin arrived. Yunyu, Why are you here? Father said you'd arrive today, so he asked me to wait here. Father is truly a master of prediction, Su Mingyan chuckled. Su Mingyan slapped his storage bag, and a token flew out, landing in Su Mingyan's palm. Along with it were 7 cyan jade pendants. What's this? Su Mingyan asked in surprise, noticing the word Zhou engraved on the front of the token. Second brother, don't you need this thing? Otherwise, how can you gain the trust of the Chang family? If you want to make a fortune from a tiger, empty words will be useless. Only half-truths can make people believe you. I will also protect you secretly. You just have to be bold in dealing with the Chang family. Su Mingyan clasped his fists and grinned. Thank you, Yunyu. What are the other jade pendants for? I have made some progress in studying the art of formations. These are just for practice, but they can also block 3 attacks from an early innate warrior or 1 attack from a middle innate warrior. They are a little gift from me, your 5th uncle, to the younger generation. 1 piece for each person, that's just right. Your 5th uncle is really not biased at all. Yunu's skills are getting better and better. He is worthy of being an immortal cultivator. He has surpassed me and my eldest brother and become the pillar of the family. Su Mingyan was very pleased and did not feel jealous at all. Thank you for the compliment, second brother. Father said that you will be the one who will take charge of the family in the future, and I, your younger brother, am no match for you. Second brother, I'll let you cultivate, and the family's cultivation business will also be yours to manage. Haha, Yunu is becoming more and more sensible. I won't say any more to you. I'll go into the city first. Second brother, go by yourself. With Yunu protecting you from the shadows, you'll be fine. Su Mingyan smiled faintly and rode into the city. Guanghu residence. An antique-style private room on the 2nd floor. Brother Mingyan, why did you suddenly come to the county capital in person? Has something serious happened? Chang Haowen sat across from Su Mingyan, 2 people standing behind him, as immovable as an iron tower. He knew it all. Someone in the Chang family had become jealous of the Su family's business ventures. They wanted not only the 50% profit, but also the entire business to gradually erode. Although he felt this was tantamount to killing the goose that lays the golden eggs, the strength of the Chang family left him helpless. If the Su and Yang families were on good terms, his Chang family wouldn't have fallen out with them over the Su assets. But according to what he'd heard, the Su family had a history of disagreements with the Yang family's head, and the Chang family didn't take Yang Zhao seriously. Brother Chang, you're asking now, Ingli. Your Chang family's appetite is truly exorbitant, forcing our Su family to seek alternatives. Su Mingwei took a sip from his teacup. Is that so? While it's common for aristocratic families to gather and disperse for profit, Chang Haowen raised his eyes, his gaze as sharp as a knife, staring directly into Su Mingwei's eyes. Are you sure your Su family can afford to betray my Chang family? You're not thinking of seeking support from the Yang family, are you, Brother Chang? You're joking. Su Mingyan put down his teacup, a smile lingering on his lips. How could the minor disagreement between my Su family and the main branch of the Yang family be hidden from your Chang family? Then I don't understand. Could it be that your Su family has a more suitable partner than my Chang family? Su Mingyan smiled faintly. In silence, he pulled a token from his pocket and placed it on the table. On the upward side, the character Zhou was engraved. Seeing the token, Chang Haowen's pupils shrank, and his brows furrowed slightly. The word Zhou instantly reminded him of the Zhou family, the dominant family in Yuhu County. The Su family? The Zhou family? How could this be possible? The Zhou family is a 4th-rank aristocratic family, considered one of the most elite in the county. Martial arts families like the Chang and Yang families, no matter how deep their foundation, cannot advance to the 4th rank unless they produce a foundation establishment cultivator. Therefore, they all vigorously cultivate disciples with aptitude for cultivation and encourage them to marry and have children. However, even a 5th-rank martial arts family like the Chang family has only produced 2 or 3 cultivators, as the number of those born into the mortal world is extremely low. Most of these possess pseudo-spiritual roots, with the highest reaching only the 4th or 5th level of key training. This token is genuine. Chang Haowen's heart trembled, and he finally confirmed it. Over a decade ago, he had the privilege of attending the Zhou family's promotion ceremony to a 4th-rank aristocratic family and had seen the Zhou family token. While there were some variations, the Zhou family tokens were divided into different categories based on status. This guest token was second only to the patriarch and elders, representing status and position. Although he had never seen it before, his intuition told him that it was genuine. Because it was engraved with the Zhou family's unique crest and patterns, as well as the unique charm of items refined by immortal cultivators. These were things that the Su family could not access or know. Chang Haowen took it in his hand, examined it for a while, and then smiled and returned it to Su Mingyin. Brother Mingyin, your Su family is lucky to be connected to the Zhou family. No, it's just that half a year ago, a Taoist priest happened to pass by King Jiang and wanted to take a young man from my Su family as his apprentice. However, my young man is still young and it is not suitable for him to follow, so he planned to come back in a few years. This token was specially left by that Taoist priest. It seems that he is a guest alchemist of the Zhou family, an alchemist. Chang Haowen's mindset had completely shifted. He smiled apologetically. Your youngster is truly lucky. Even among my Chang family, not many have the opportunity to embark on the path of immortality. Actually, I, Chang, cannot stand the behavior of some within my clan. They're too greedy, lacking the magnanimity of a noble family. Today, besides testing your opinion, Brother Mingyin, I also want to tell you that, given our long-standing friendship, we will not allow you to suffer such an injustice. Don't worry, I will persuade the members of my clan. I even feel that my Chang family is unworthy of accepting the 50% profit. This is not something that should be done between close friends. I will definitely return it in full within a few days. How can I be so embarrassed, given our friendship? Just accept it with confidence. As long as my Chang family exists, few in the county city dare to covet your Su family's assets. To win over the Su family, the Chang family willingly acted as their protective umbrella. With the protection of a fifth-rank aristocratic family in the county city, few dared to provoke them. Of course, the Chang family's goal was to contact the Zhou family's guest alchemist through the Su family. If they could obtain some resources for cultivation elixirs from him, then everything they did would be worth it. The Chang family might be able to obtain spiritual herbs that were several hundred or even several hundred years old from deep in the mountains and forests, but elixirs were simply not obtainable with worldly money. The same was true for magical instruments. They could only be exchanged for the resources needed by cultivators. If the Chang family wanted to become a family of immortal cultivators, they had to constantly contact and attract cultivators. Alchemists were the kind of people they were willing to spend everything to befriend. Chapter 92, The Unexpected Surprise of Dancheng. Half a month later. Yuhu Market. Zhou's Alchemy Shop, Alchemy Room Number 1. Su Chuan emerged from the alchemy room and summoned the shopkeeper. Guest Sanchu, you're looking for me, shopkeeper Zhou bowed. He looked to be in his 40s or 50s. Although a fellow cultivator, he was only at the 4th level of key training. Because of his lowly pseudo-spiritual root aptitude, he had been practically abandoned by his family and could only help run the family's alchemy shop in the market. There were many such people in the Zhou family. Fortunately, among his dozen or so children, one possessed mixed spiritual roots. While he had no hope of reaching the foundation establishment stage, he should have no problem cultivating to the late key training stage under the family's guidance. He now studied alchemy with Elder Zhou Senator. This is the key replenishing pill I just made. Take a look. Shopkeeper Zhou took it and scanned it with his mind. He saw 5 pills, 1 low grade, 3 mid grade, and 1 top grade pill. Shopkeeper Zhou exclaimed, looking up with a startled expression at Su Chuan. My alchemy skills have only improved slightly. No wonder Elder Zhou Sen keeps praising your talent for alchemy above his own. It's truly true. That's just Elder Zhou Sen's flattery. Don't take it seriously. Come here and record the elixirs refined by the 3 guest officials in the register. Including these 3 mid-grade key restoring pills, you can pick one. Su Chuan nodded calmly and took one. Shopkeeper Zhou had someone return to the Zhou household that same day to inform Zhou Sen of his success in refining a top-grade pill. Zhou Sen arrived at night to congratulate Su Chuan. Alchemy is a difficult art. Many alchemists never achieve a top-grade elixir in their lifetime, simply because they lack talent. Spiritual herb resources might be found elsewhere. Controlling fire requires considerable practice. However, mastering the changing properties of medicinal materials, which relies on one's own talent, is the key to refining top-grade pills. This is Su Chuan's strength, and the reason he has made such great progress in alchemy in just 1 or 2 years. As for the 2 guest officials, Ding Ning and Zhu Oqiufu, who had only been able to consistently refine low-grade pills and only occasionally 1 or 2 mid-grade pills, their alchemy talent was vastly superior. Fellow Taoist Sanchu, your alchemy talent truly envies me. When you can consistently refine high-grade pills in 3 or 4 furnaces, I will petition the family to increase your monthly salary to 15 spirit stones. Thank you very much, Chuan said with a smile, clasping his fists. The bone-strengthening pill is quite difficult, with only 3 ingredients. It would be safer to refine it by further improving your alchemy skills. Once this is over, I should consider collecting materials to refine my own pills, so I can earn some spirit stones to purchase a magical furnace. It would take countless years for Su Mingxin and himself to gather the spirit stones they needed with the Zhou family's monthly salary alone. If their alchemy skills were too low, they would only produce low-grade pills, and wouldn't make much money. Only mid-grade and high-grade pills were what the alchemy shops and the market wanted. Chuan also considered selling his refined high-grade pills to the Zhou family, hoping to secure their protection. He doubted they would treat him with such courtesy if he refined large quantities of pills and sold them in Yuhu market, thereby disrupting his family's pill shop. Unless, one day, the Su family gained the confidence to rival the Zhou family. For example, Su Mingxin could create a massive formation to protect the family, impenetrable even to Foundation establishment cultivators. Furthermore, Su Mingwei, having mastered martial arts and entered the immortal path, cultivated to the great perfection of key training. Indeed, selling pills in other markets was a viable option. A month passed in the blink of an eye. All things gradually revived, and the trees in the mountains and forests surrounding Yuhu market began to sprout. Chuan stabilized the production of high-grade pills at a rate of 1 per 4 furnaces. He also produced high-grade pills for the Qi rejuvenation pill, the Yuan rejuvenation pill, the Qi condensation pill, and the Qi gathering pill. However, refining the Huiyan and Juqi pills was far more difficult than refining the Huqi and Yunqi pills, requiring 7 or 8 furnaces to yield a single top-grade pill. But for Zhou Sen, that was more than enough. Starting this month, his monthly salary increased to 15 spirit stones. While not much, it was enough to purchase a slightly better quality lower-grade magical instrument. Chuan also finally began refining the Zhuanggu pill. His first attempt was primarily to familiarize himself with the entire refining process, understanding the temperature and the changes in the medicinal properties, so he didn't feel the slightest bit of pain over a single wasted batch. The second time, drawing on his experience, he devoted all his energy to the refining process. He unexpectedly produced 2 lower-grade pills. The third time, Chuan felt a sense of familiarity, refining a lower-grade pill and a mid-grade pill. This truly surprised him. It seems I have luck. After storing the pills and cleaning the furnace, Chuan went out to the 100 refining workshop. Master Wu had been waiting for Chuan for a long time. Seeing him, he was particularly excited. He hurriedly pulled him to a seat and asked, "Fellow Taoist Sanchu, how are things going?" Chuan clasped his fists and smiled faintly. "Thank goodness I've fulfilled my mission." Immediately, he patted his storage bag, and a porcelain vase flew out and landed on the table. 3 low-grade pills, and 1 mid-grade pill, 4? And another mid-grade pill. Master Wu was delighted, but then a look of distress crossed his face. "I promised you 40 spirit stones for each pill, and the mid-grade pills should be 60 spirit stones, so, by the calculation, I actually owe you 20 spirit stones." Previously, Master Wu had offered Chuan 200 spirit stones for a complete bow and arrow set, but the actual materials only cost 50 or 60. However, not every refining session was successful, there would be occasional failures. Therefore, it was normal to ask for a higher price when customizing a magical instrument if the client couldn't provide the materials. No need for spirit stones. "I do have a small favor I'd like to ask, fellow Taoist Sanchu, please speak. I have a good friend who's deeply involved in array formations and plans to refine his own array plates and flags. However, his talent in this area is limited, and he has no one to teach him. So, I'd like to trouble you to give him some guidance for a while. Is that possible?" "That's easy. You refined a bone-strengthening pill, saved my grandson's life, and allowed the Wu family's bloodline to continue. It's a great favor, and how could I not help?" Master Wu grinned and waved his hand generously. "Have him come tomorrow. I can't say he'll become proficient, but at least he should be able to refine a low-grade magical weapon. Thank you." Compared to teaching him the art of refining, those mere 20 spirit stones were nothing. But cultivators, like ordinary people, need favors too. and the favors of a master of alchemy like Chuan are so precious. Who knows, he might need his help in the future. Unless it involves matters related to one's own path, no one would easily offend. Chuan, aware of Su Mingxin's recent distress, had a sudden inspiration and brought it up. Upon returning, he told Su Mingxin about this, and Su Mingxin was thrilled. "Father, I will study the art of weapon refining diligently with Master Wu." Well, while refining is certainly useful, formations are the most crucial. Without a grand formation to protect our family, I dare not rashly allow my Su family to compete with other key cultivating families. Mortals value wealth, and so do cultivators. Although we possess alchemy and formation techniques, selling them in large quantities will attract the attention of key cultivating families, and even foundation establishment families. If we were independent cultivators, those families might not care, and might even actively recruit us, but the struggle between the families is a struggle for resources and talent, and I wonder how much murderous intent lies behind it. I understand. I will devote myself to studying formations and live up to your efforts, Su Mingxin said solemnly, clasping his fists. The next day, Su Mingxin arrived at the 100 refining weapon shop. "Senior, are you looking to purchase a magical weapon or customize one?" Su Mingxin smiled faintly. "My name is Yunming. Thanks to the recommendation of fellow Taoist Sanshu, I've come to learn the art of refining from Master Wu." Chapter 93 Bai Jing's Selfishness. Qianyuan County, Dongxi Village. The Su family. The sky brightened in the east, the sky gradually clearing. A thin mist hung like a silk thread on the ridges, entwining the verdant new rice seedlings. A waning moon, like a hook, hung obliquely on the branches of an old willow tree before the eaves. Smoke curled from the thatched cottage, blending with the morning mist, transforming into a wandering dragon chasing the clouds. Bai Jing, dressed in a plain silk gown, sat before a bronze mirror. Behind her, a woman in her 40s knelt, holding an old mahogany comb, slowly brushing her frosted hair. After combing her hair into a bun, Bai Jing once again studied the mirror. "Ali, your craftsmanship is still as good as it was back then. I heard your daughter is getting married," Bai Jing said slowly, then sighed softly. "In the blink of an eye, you've entered my Su family and are serving me." 21 now, the middle-aged lady also sighed, recalling, "Madam, Ali was only 11 or 12 when she entered the mansion. It was you who took to pity on me and chose me from among the others to be your personal maid." "How old is your daughter?" 15, she's already married at 15. "My Zuji is 23 now and still hasn't found a good husband. It really worries me. The fourth young lady is so talented and beautiful. How can any ordinary young man be worthy of her?" the middle-aged woman praised with a smile. "She always says nice things, but after all, she's a woman and will get married. Unlike Yunyu, who's a man, her husband is not at home now." At this point, Bai Jing felt a few more strands of frost emerging from the ends of her hair. The old patriarch means he doesn't want the fourth daughter to marry outside the family. It would be better to choose a man from the family affiliated with the Su family. Bai Jing turned and said, "You hit the nail on the head. But after searching so hard, I still can't find anyone worthy of my daughter Zuji." The middle-aged woman chuckled softly. "If you can't pick one, the old patriarch probably can't either. Indeed, of all his children, he loves Zuji the most." "Let me think about this." Bai Jing stood up with the middle-aged woman's support. "Come with me for a walk. It's been a while since I last saw the village." Su Mingwei happened to meet her and, upon hearing she was going out, he helped her along. On the paths between the fields, an old farmer walked with a hoe, crushing the dew on the grass, and his footprints sparkled. The vast rice fields stretched out like a blue sea. Suddenly, a mountain breeze blew, and the blue waves rippled out. "I still vaguely remember that piece of land belonged to our Su family. When you were a child, you followed your father and learned how to plant rice." Mom has a good memory. A smile appeared on Su Mingwei's lips. "I'm old," Bai Jing said lightly. "Who would have thought that the Su family only relied on 10 acres of land to make a living?" "Father is a genius." "Yes, he is a genius. He learned martial arts in middle age, and he managed to learn it. I don't know how he embarked on the path of seeking immortality. Compared with him, I, as his wife, seem too mediocre." "Why do you say that, Mother?" "Neither father nor the others of us think so." Bai Jing turned around and smiled lightly. "Your father is kind, and you guys have been educated very well. Marrying him is the blessing I have cultivated for several lifetimes. Mother doesn't know how far the Su family can go in the future. Your grandfather and others have passed away, and your uncle and his family are my only concern." She stared at Su Mingwei quietly and said, "Shi Tao, promise mother that if I am gone one day, don't treat the Bai family unfairly. Even if I do something wrong one day, please keep their lineage for mother's sake and pass it down from generation to generation." Although he knew he shouldn't have made such a promise, looking at Bai Jing now, Su Mingwei couldn't bring himself to refuse. "I understand, my child," Su Mingwei said. "As long as the Su family exists, the Bai family will exist. I'll ensure that future generations of family heads inherit the family tradition. This is a difficult matter for you. The Su family is growing larger and larger, and many laws and regulations will inevitably be enacted. But I'm just an ordinary woman, and I have my own selfish motives. Even if my father were here, I'd agree," Su Mingwei said. "Your father?" Bai Jing shook her head and laughed, turning to gaze at the vast acres of fertile fields, the azure sea, and the green waves. Then she exhaled. "He's much more hard-hearted than you." Su Mingwei didn't object. "I'm a little tired, Shi Tao, help me back." Back at the Su residence, they found Su Dezhao instructing Su Duan in martial arts. Su Dezhao was 13 years old, already taller than Bai Jing. Though still immature, his face carried the majestic air of a legitimate eldest son. Su Duan threw all his strength into the air, his punches whistling and carrying a scorching heat. The force was far greater than that of an ordinary third-rate warrior. However, Su Dezhao, holding one hand behind his back, countered with a single hand, circling Su Duan's fist with his free-handed moves. In an instant, he neutralized the force, then fiercely grasped his wrist. Pulling him close, he pressed his other chest against it. With a bang, Su Duan flew backwards 7 or 8 meters before coming to a stop. Su Mingwei happened to be supporting Bai Jing as she walked in through the gate. When he saw them, he scolded them, "If you want to practice, go to the martial arts training ground. If you scare your grandma, I'll twist your ears off." Su Duan quickly got up, bowed and said, "Greetings, father." "Hello, grandma." Su Dezhao was more casual and asked, "Dad, grandma, why did you come back from outside?" "Wiener, no need to be so polite," Bai Jing said with a smile. "When I have some free time, I go out to relax." "Then why didn't grandma look for me?" "Dad is busy, and I have to be free." "What nonsense." Su Mingwei frowned and said, "Go to the martial arts training ground and run 100 laps with weights. They're all children. Why scare them? Go and do your own thing. Let Zhao and Wiener accompany me back." Su Mingwei smiled bitterly and bowed. "Yes, mother." After sending Bai Jing off, Su Dezhao said, "When? Let's go to Bahantan." "Yeah." Su Duan smiled and nodded in response. A serene, cold pond, surrounded by mountains, a pool of icy blue, emerald green, remains unfrozen even in the harshest winter, its surface perpetually shrouded in a faint white mist. Hundreds of acres of medicinal fields, arranged in the shape of the 8 diagrams, surround the pond, growing a variety of rare medicinal herbs. Not far away, a few bamboo houses dot the landscape, their roofs covered in moss, glowing with chalcedony mushrooms. Like starlights at night. Bronze wind chimes hang from the eaves, their crisp, soothing twang in the breeze. Behind the houses, 1,000 bamboo poles form a sea, their lush green waves stirred by the wind, their joints clashing like the melodious sound of chimes. "Wu Tao, Qing Yi," Su Dezhao called out. Wu Tao and Shen Qing Yi, upon hearing this, ceased their meditation and approached, bowing and saying, "Eldest young master, second young master." Wu Tao was now at the peak of the first key training stage, while Shen Qing Yi was at the second. Even with his magical powers, Su Dezhao, who hadn't yet reached the Xiantian stage, was no match for them. However, he also frequently clashed with them, becoming familiar with the cultivator's tactics to avoid being overwhelmed in a real clash. "Aren't Aunt Zuji and the others here?" Su Dezhao asked in surprise, looking around. Shen Qing Yi smiled faintly. "Aunt Zuji and the third master are searching deep within the Broken Tooth Mountains for rare medicinal herbs, elixirs, and young exotic beasts." "Oh, and they were not taking me with them again." Wu Tao and Shen Qing Yi smiled. Immediately, Su Dezhao and Su Duan found a place to practice martial arts. Chapter 94, Broken Tooth Peak. Deep within the Broken Tooth Mountains, a group dressed in the standard Su family warrior uniforms marched through the forest. The two leading them were dressed differently. One of them was a young woman, sitting cross-legged on the back of an exotic white tiger. These two were Su Mingshu and Su Mingxuan. The Su family boasts a growing number of top-tier warriors, with a growing number of peak-level acquired warriors. Besides the Su family's direct descendants, 2 or 3 innate warriors have emerged. Su Mingshu wanted to capture and tame young beasts and venture deep into the mountains. Upon hearing this, Su Mingwei, after careful consideration, ordered her and Su Mingsun to lead the family's expert guards into the mountains. Over the past few months, they had encountered numerous exotic beasts, but not a single young one. Even though Su Mingshu possessed the ability to communicate with the beasts, the adults were of low intelligence and inherently violent. She could only communicate, not tame them with a single word. If this were true, it would require the efforts of an immortal. Only young beasts, nurtured from a young age, could be made to obey her commands. They took back whatever they could of the dead beasts, either as game for their families or as rewards for their guards' families. They also gathered several rare spiritual herbs and flowers, some 20 or 30 years old, and brought them back, along with this oil from the surrounding area, to plant in the medicinal fields of Bahantan. Anything spiritual is bound to be sought after by exotic beasts. Su Mingshu and her companions each battled 1 or 2 second or third level key training demon beasts, even slaying a ferocious blood wolf. The major families of Yuhu County also maintained similar teams, hunting demon beasts and searching for rare medicinal herbs, elixirs, iron ores, and the like. They sold these cultivation resources to the key training families in exchange for spirit stones and other resources to supply their cultivators. The Su family, on the other hand, stored these resources in their own warehouse, awaiting their use one day. Zuji, look ahead. That's Broken Tooth Peak. It truly resembles the fangs of an ancient beast, its peak so steep it's practically impossible to climb. Upon hearing this, Su Mingshu looked up and saw Broken Tooth Peak, reaching into the sky, towering several miles away. From Dongxi village, it looked ordinary, but up close, I realized it's a truly magnificent work of nature. Suddenly, 2 or 3 miles to the left of the team, the cry of an eagle rang out, its sharpness piercing the clouds. It was followed by a roar. The Su Mingsun siblings exchanged glances, and then Su Mingshu's lips curled slightly as she said, "Third brother, you have the sharpest intuition. Do you think we should go over and see what's going on?" The eagle's cry can be heard so clearly from miles away. It must be a demonic beast. Su Mingsun's eyes sparkled, and he continued, "When two beasts fight, one will inevitably be injured. We can reap the benefits." Su Mingshu smiled brightly, her eyebrows and eyes like crescent moons, and she exuded a vibrant energy. "Then let's go." In addition to the Su Mingsun siblings, the Su family team also included 2 Xianshan, 8 peak-level Haoshan, and 16 first-rate warriors. Some held shields, some carried quivers with bows and arrows, and many more wielded swords, knives, or spears. A cultivator capable of performing magic would have made the team even more complete. They advanced quickly until they were several hundred meters from the battle between the two beasts, then began to move cautiously. Ahead lay an open space, centered by a small lake 100 meters in diameter. Not far from the lake's edge, a coiled red-scaled python, as thick as a bucket, faced off against a giant cyan eagle, its wingspan over 10 meters. Both beasts were truly remarkable. The red-scaled python had a small black protuberance on its forehead, while the giant cyan eagle had a small wisp of cyan flame atop its head. Without a closer look, one could mistake it for feathers. The red-scaled python was now covered in wounds, its scales shattered, its flesh a bloody mess. Roar! Cry! Suddenly, 2 startling waves spread out in all directions. The once clear, mirror-like lake suddenly erupted in waves, crashing against the shore, sending ripples 3 feet high. The tree surrounding Su Mingshu and the others swayed violently. Everyone's Adam's apples rolled, their eyes meeting in awe. "Don't rush. My intuition tells me there's profit to be made. Let's wait and see." "I trust you once more," they themselves, waiting at the edge of the forest for the opportunity to strike. Suddenly, the blue sky ripped apart, and a giant eagle, its wings draped across the sky, soaring towards them. Its claws, like cold black gold, gleamed in the sunlight, and pierced the red python 7 inches deep. The red-scaled python was no ordinary creature either. With its head raised and its fangs sharp as spears, it bit back at the eagle's belly. But the eagle flapped its wings like lightning, tearing the python's flesh to shreds before transforming itself into a cyan rainbow and escaping. The red python, enraged, suddenly spewed a 3-foot-high purple mist, instantly filling the countryside with miasma. Unexpectedly, the eagle screamed from the sky, its wings flapping like clouds descending from the sky, dispersing the poisonous mist. Wherever the lavender mist reached, the vegetation lost its lush green. The green leaves turned dark, and the branches withered, as if burned by a dark fire. Third brother, Su Mingshu said in a low voice, "What do you think the rank of these two demonic beasts are? They're in the late key training stage, around the 7th level. With their abilities and formidable bodies, even an ordinary grandmaster at perfection wouldn't be able to defeat them." Su Mingsun glanced at Su Mingshu, seeing a hint of unease in her eyes. "Wait a little longer. The red python's defeat is almost certain. I'm betting that the blue eagle won't take the entire snake body. If so, we'll be rich. Its scales and fangs can be crafted into magical weapons, and its flesh and blood contain infinite essence, a vital tonic for warriors. We have our second brother, but his talent isn't as good as our eldest brother, and you knew. Without external aid, he'll never catch up. But with this opportunity, I'm sure we can all achieve innate perfection within a year or two. Okay, we'll listen to you, third brother." Everyone held their breath and crouched among the grass. Then they saw the blue eagle flap its wings like lightning, swooping repeatedly. Though the red-scaled python was spewing poisonous flames, its energy was weakening, its scales peeling, and its blood stained the crimson earth. A few cups of tea passed. The red-scaled python's pupils gradually dimmed. Unable to focus, it finally collapsed to the ground, raising a cloud of dust 3 feet high. Its corpse trembled a few times, as if unwilling to give up. All the vegetation around it withered. A long cry pierced the clouds, its voice echoing 10 miles away. The blue eagle flapped its wings, a gust of wind sweeping in, as it soared proudly above the red-scaled python. Its pupils swirled a few times, its sharp claws aimed at a specific part of the red-scaled python, snatching out a purple snake gallbladder. In an instant, it flapped its wings and soared towards the cliffs of Broken Tooth Peak. It really flew away. Su Mingsun's lips curled slightly, and with a wave of his hand, he said, "Quick, everyone, move the red-scaled python quickly. Wrap your hands with cloth and avoid touching it directly with your flesh and blood. Also, take away any loose scales and other items." "Yes, third master." The guards clasped their fists and immediately did as they were told. Su Mingshu gave Su Mingsun a thumbs up and said with a smile, "Third brother is truly a diviner. How do you do it?" "It's just intuition." Su Mingsun clapped his hands and smiled. "Father always said my intuition was the most accurate. He taught me to follow my heart when in doubt. It's my gift, just like you, Zuji, can communicate with animals." Su Mingshu's eyes flickered, and she lightly tapped her temples with her fingertips. "Well, I'll trust you this time." In just a few dozen breaths, the Su family guards had cleared the battlefield and were now retracing the path they had taken, weaving through the forest. They feared the blue eagle would return and discover they had stolen its spoils. If discovered, they didn't think they could escape its gaze. "Go in the direction I point," Su Mingsun spoke again, and everyone obeyed without hesitation. As for the blue eagle, returning to the lakeside, seeing no sign of the red-scaled python, it naturally flew into a rage, its cry piercing the clouds, its cry echoing for dozens of miles. However, it ultimately misdirected, allowing Su Mingsun and his companions to escape. The white tiger, envious of the red-scaled python's flesh, growled as it ran. "Little White, you didn't fight in this battle, yet you're still thinking of sharing the spoils. How treacherous, anyone who sees gets a share. Where did you hear that? You're a demon beast, and you believe this human trick." A roar. Su Mingsun chuckled at this and said, "Zuji, the red-scaled python is so large, its scales and fangs will be kept for other uses, but everyone present will get a share of its flesh." "Thank you, third master," the guards rejoiced. "Since you say so, third brother, then I'll do as you say." A roar. The white tiger growled again. "Xiaobei, aren't you thanking me?" "Exactly. This foolish tiger, forsaking all principles for the sake of profit, said he'd let you ride a few times in the future, in exchange for the flesh and blood of the red-scaled python. Let's return home safely first, and then we'll make plans. I have a feeling there might be treasures in this green eagle's nest." Chapter 95. Today's hexagram, auspicious. The third master and his men are back. Suddenly, a loud shout was heard, its sound as powerful as a bell, piercing the sky and even causing the copper bells on the eaves of the Su mansion to buzz. The maids, servants, and guards who were working in the mansion looked up in surprise, seeing that the clouds and mist on the distant mountains had been shaken apart a little by the sound. They were carrying a red-scaled python that was 60 or 70 feet long out of the mountains. Many people saw it and, driven by curiosity, followed it all the way to the front door of the Su family. The snake's body was as thick as a wooden barrel, its scales glowing golden red in the sun. Its 60 or 70-foot long body was winding like a flaming cloud. Although its tongue was stiff, it still exuded a sharp fishy smell. What a huge red snake! Is it a monster? An old man asked in a trembling voice, leaning on his crutch. Yes, I didn't expect the third master and his men to be able to kill monsters. They are really amazing, the crowd cheered. The children watching, hiding behind the adults, couldn't help but peek out. Dad, look, there's a horn on the python's head. Can snakes grow horns? Indeed, a snake growing horns is a sign of transformation into a dragon, the knowledgeable teacher exclaimed in amazement. Suddenly, someone shouted, the head of the family has arrived. Everyone stopped clamoring, made way, and respectfully bowed, saying, greetings, head of the family. The man walked with the gait of a dragon and a tiger, imposing without even a hint of anger. It was Su Mingwei. Upon seeing the red-scaled python, his brows knitted slightly, his pupils constricted. After a careful examination, he said, everyone, disperse. Third brother, fourth sister, first move this snake to the Bihan pond. Su Mingxun and the others knew that such a beast was best left to cultivators. All right, let my wife go too. Su Mingwei immediately instructed those around him, go and invite the third master's wife to the Bihan pond. Although Zhang Wanqing was also a cultivator, she spent most of her time cultivating at the mansion, so she could more easily care for Su Deheng. Not everyone could abandon the mundane world and focus solely on cultivation. At the Bihan pond, Wu Tao, Shen Qingyi, and the others were also quite shocked upon seeing the red snake. Even in death, it still exuded a terrifying aura, far beyond the capabilities of two first and second level cultivators like them. What a big red snake! Su Dejiao's eyes lit up, and he looked at Su Mingxun and said, third uncle, did you kill it? Seeing Su Mingxun complacent, Su Mingshu directly put him on the spot and said, no, we just played the role of a fisherman. This time, near the foot of Broken Tooth Peak, we saw a green eagle with green flames on its head fighting with this red snake. After a fierce battle, the red snake died under the claws of the green eagle, and its gallbladder was taken away. We took the opportunity to move the red snake's body away. The red snake is probably a monster in the late stage of key training. The materials on its body are quite valuable to the immortal cultivators in the late stage of key training. Our Su family got a bargain, Su Mingwei said in surprise. The monster is quite intelligent, so how could the green eagle give up? That's all thanks to third brother's intuition. He is very reliable in times of crisis and brought us back safely. It's a small matter. At this time, Zhang Wanqing was walking towards her with lotus steps. Although she was in her early 20s, she had the grace and temperament of a lady from a noble family. After a few years in the Su mansion, my sister-in-law is here, third sister-in-law, third wife, third aunt. Su Mingwei and others spoke one after another. Su Mingxun stepped forward, took her snow-white hand in his, and whispered, my wife is here. Su Mingwei said, Wu Tao, Qingyi, sister-in-law, this time the three of you will work together to dissect this red snake and collect all the usable materials. Understood, big brother? Zhang Wanqing nodded. Yes, head of the family. Wu Tao and Shen Qingyi bowed. Su Mingxun added, red snakes are extremely venomous. They must have a venom sac inside. Be careful not to rupture it. Flesh and blood are a great tonic for warriors, containing abundant vital energy. Blood and flesh should be kept separate. Zhaoer, Wiener, you stay here and report back to me if you have any news. And don't let anyone else disturb your third aunt and the others. Violators will be severely punished. Got it, father, third brother, fourth sister, you and the rest of the group, follow me down the mountain to rest. Xiao Bei, come with me too, so you don't have to steal food. Su Mingshu tugged at the white tiger's half-round ears. Roar, today's divination, auspicious. Su Mingxun and his companions have brought back a complete 7th level key training red-scaled python from the Broken Tooth Mountains. A 7th level key training red-scaled python? What good luck! Truly blessed with the unifying power of heaven and earth. A few days ago, I bought a copy of Heavenly Flame Art at the market. It's far superior to the likes of Fiery Fire Art and perfect for Linger's cultivation. It's time to send you new back. Su Chuan's eyes flickered. After all, it's a bit wasteful to eat the red-scaled python's flesh and blood directly. But we still have to find a way to buy a basic storage bag, otherwise the inferior ones won't fit. With the Zhou family's monthly salary, plus the sale of some of the elixirs he earned from refining 6 and drawing 1, he now has 136 spirit stones. He's an 8th level key training cultivator, and a master of alchemy, and he's only accumulated this much spirit stone in over 2 years. It's a testament to how unsatisfactory most casual cultivators live. Of course, Chuan isn't incompetent, but rather seeks stability. If there were truly no interference, he'd have no problem buying large quantities of spiritual herbs and refining elixirs. By now, he's probably worth hundreds of spirit stones, and can afford top-grade magical instruments. Many thoughts flashed through Chuan's mind, but he ultimately decided to prioritize his family and refine the Qianyuan blood pill first. That day, Chuan went to the Beiwu Pavilion and purchased a beginner-level storage bag for a full 80 spirit stones, no bargaining required. He then returned to the Balian Kifin to find Su Mingxin, handing him the storage bag and sending him back. Fellow Taoist Sanshu and fellow Taoist Yunming have a truly remarkable relationship, one truly enviable. Master Wu sat and chatted with Chuan over tea. A long-standing friendship, a truly extraordinary one. Chuan took a sip of the spiritual tea. The tea contained a faint trace of spiritual energy, but of course, it had little effect on a cultivator in the late key training stage like him. By the way, fellow Taoist Wu, before you settle down in Yuhu Market, you must have traveled to many places and markets, right? Fellow Taoist Sanshu wants to leave Yuhu Market, although this place is safe. I don't know how long it will take to gather the resources for foundation building. Even if the hope is slim, I still want to try my best and not regret my life. Fellow Taoist Sanshu's determination to pursue the Tao is admirable. Master Wu sighed slowly. If fellow Taoist has some free time, you might as well listen to my story. If it can be of some help to you, it will be worth our acquaintance. Chuan clasped his fists and said, "Thank you. In my early years, I was also devoted to the Tao. I traveled around the Wei dynasty, looking for opportunities. I got the weapon refining technique from a cultivator's cave by chance. After many setbacks, I lamented the difficulty of being a casual cultivator, so I devoted myself to studying it. Fortunately, I have some talent for weapon refining, so my life has improved. After a few years, I thought about creating a key training family, got married and had children, but my wife passed away early. Fortunately, my son had the aptitude to cultivate immortality, and he followed me to cultivate immortality. After he grew up, he became a Taoist partner with a casual cultivator. After giving birth to his grandson, he found that his roots were weak, so the couple went out to look for opportunities. He never returned since then, and his life lamp went out. Without a dream of a noble family, in the end it was all in vain. I was worried about my grandson's life, and now I have the help of fellow Taoists, and I feel relieved." Although Chuan felt sad about the ups and downs of his life, he was more thinking about winning over the other party. Now the Su family has the inheritance of alchemy and formation, and if there is also the art of weapons. As long as he endures for more than 10 years, he can become an upper-class existence among the key training families. I was feeling emotional for a while and said too much. As for the market, I have been to the Imperial City, Longjian County Market, and Guangling County Market. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 I Won't Marry. The western mountains hold the sun, the clouds like inkstones, the sky like paper, all radiating a dazzling display of deep and yellow. Suddenly, a returning wild goose soars through the rosy clouds, its wings tinged with the evening light. Thousands of acres of rice paddies transform into golden wave, each husk a miniature bronze mirror amidst the undulating waves of rice ears, reflecting a halo of varying depths. Gold and scales dance across the stream, neither fish nor light. Village children playfully chase each other, their hair and clothes streaked with tiny golden glints, like the fragments of a golden elixir scattered by a banished immortal. Over the Biham Pond, a mountain breeze caresses the wind chimes hanging from the eaves of the bamboo hut, emitting a soothing, soul-purifying sound. A streak of green light, tracing the golden clouds, descends upon the Biham Pond. In the open space in front of the bamboo hut, several people gather around a massive red python, seemingly debating how to best deal with the beast and avoid wasting it. Sure enough, there's a red-scaled python. It seems my father truly has a gift for divination. Su Mingxin, no longer a child, has long since recognized that his family members possess a gift. I have a talent for key training and formations. My eldest brother was born with supernatural powers, my fourth sister is a yogi, and my third brother has extraordinary luck, perhaps attracting good fortune and avoiding misfortune. As for my second brother, he probably doesn't have a talent for making a fortune, right? Ever since Su Mingying took charge of the family finances, there hadn't been any losses. Su Mingxin pondered, perhaps being good at business is also a talent. It seems the Su family's secret is more than just the innate 5 elements creation technique. He had some suspicions, but unless Su Chuan spoke, he wouldn't ask. The innate 5 elements creation technique was a colossal treasure. Even the Wei royal family would be tempted to destroy the Su family and seize the inheritance if they heard of it. Not to mention the opportunity to grant their descendants a special talent. Seeing their distress, Su Mingxin suddenly said calmly, "I'll handle it." The voice came from the air, startling everyone and causing them to look up. Under 1,000 golden rays, Su Mingxin slowly landed on his flying sword. Only then did they see clearly that it was Su Mingxin who had returned. "Yunyu, 5th uncle, 5th master," Su Mingxin nodded. Zhang Wanqing asked in surprise, "Why are you back?" "I'm bringing something back," Su Deziao grinned. "5th uncle, it's easy with you here. We're just discussing how to deal with this demonic beast. Everyone, get out of the way." Su Mingxin said nothing, only a faint smile. Everyone stepped back. Then Su Mingxin formed a sword gesture, and the cyan flying sword rang out, its blade swirling with pale golden magical energy. Golden light spiraled around the red python's 7-inch mark, each revolution lifting 3 bowl-sized red scales. Pulled by the magical force, the scales formed neatly, like a flock of geese, on the left side of the jade basin. With a sweep of his mind, Su Mingxin located the poison sac. With a single stroke of his sword, he completely extracted the sac and placed it in the jade basin, without damaging the membrane. Later, as he extracted the fangs, his sword strokes were light and agile, picking at the root like an embroidery needle. When skinning the snake, the sword's thrusts shifted to powerful force, the blade's spine slapping against the snake's body, causing the flesh to naturally separate. The most remarkable moment came when he extracted the snake's pupils, the sword's tip trembling 9 times, severing the optic nerves that had been attached. Finally, the 3-inch horn was lifted by magical power and brought before Su Mingxin's eyes. Natural dark red lines appeared on its surface. Su Mingxin flicked the tip of the horn with his fingernail inside. If it were a few inches longer, it could be used as the main material for a mid-grade magical weapon. "It's better than nothing now." With that, he set it aside. Everyone was stunned. In just a few minutes, a red python that size was cleanly destroyed. This is the true method of an immortal master. Wu Tao's eyes were filled with amazement and admiration. Su Mingxin turned to look at him. "Practice well, and you'll all have this skill in the future." Zhang Wanqing chuckled. "The head of the family originally asked me to help, but now I don't have to." "Thank you, 5th brother." "You're welcome, 3rd sister-in-law." By the way, Su Mingxin remembered something and flicked his hand across his storage bag. 18 prismatic pieces of spirit iron flew out, 6 in a row, and landed in the hands of Zhang Wanqing, Wu Tao, and Xinqing Yi. When practicing, place the spirit iron around you and activate it with your mana. It will absorb the spiritual energy of the surrounding heaven and earth. While the effect is limited, it will accelerate your practice. "Thank you, 5th master." "Thank you, 5th brother." Wu Tao and Xinqing Yi continued their practice on the mountain. Su Mingxin gathered all his belongings and descended with the others. Su Mingwei and the others were overjoyed to learn of Su Mingxin's return. After a round of greetings, they hurried to fetch Bai Jing. "I came back this time specifically to give Linger the spell." Su Mingxin didn't mention the red-scaled python, believing Su Chuan's talent for divination was well known. He took out the item and handed it to Su Mingwei. "Brother, this is the heavenly flame art, which is far superior to the fiery fire art I collected earlier. Linger has considerable talent and is suited to cultivating the fire element. Father has determined that she cultivate this technique." "Yes, I'll have Linger practice diligently with Wanqing." Su Mingwei nodded. "And the spirit gathering array for Linger. 3rd sister-in-law knows how to activate it, and the red-scaled python?" Su Mingxin chatted with the others, greeted Bai Jing, and then returned to Yuhu Market with the red-scaled python's materials. He kept the scales, leather armor, horn, and fangs, leaving the rest of the flesh, blood, and poison sacks to Chuan. After completing his daily alchemy tasks at Zhou's pawnshop, Chuan would refine the Qianyuan blood pill. Some of the required medicinal materials were purchased from outside sources. Fortunately, they were all common ingredients, not even considered spiritual herbs. Chuan used flesh and snake blood as the primary ingredients, supplemented with several medicinal herbs, to dispel evil spirits and harmonize vital energy, ultimately refining the Qianyuan blood pill. This pill was significantly easier to refine than detoxification pills, the challenge being developing the formula. In half a month, Chuan had refined a significant number of pills. One pill was enough for a Qianyuan warrior to cultivate for half a month, and could even be used by a postnatal warrior to open up the acupoints. However, this required the assistance of a Qianyuan warrior's true key to refine it. For a postnatal warrior, one pill was equivalent to 2 or 3 months of painstaking training and strengthening of muscles and bones. These pills were categorized into low, medium, and high grades. Unfortunately, they were of limited use to practitioners of the Qianyuan 5 elements creation technique. At most, they boosted qi and blood, strengthening muscles and bones, and strengthening qi and qi. This technique primarily focused on gathering the qi of the 5 elements, reversing fate, and replenishing spiritual roots. Its profound power was far beyond the reach of qi and blood alone. However, it could also cultivate Qianyuan warriors loyal to the Su family. For a grandmaster like Su Mingwei, only top-grade pills would be effective. Recently, Su Mingxin had developed a large spirit-gathering formation capable of covering the Bihun Pond and its surrounding medicinal fields. While Su Mingxin was bringing the Qianyuan blood pills back with him, he also set up a formation at the Bihun Pond. He also explained Chuan's precautions regarding the Qianyuan blood pills to Su Mingwei, then returned to Yuhu Market. In his study, Su Mingwei explained the blood pills to Su Mingyin, Su Mingxun, and Su Mingshu. They were slightly disappointed. I thought I could quickly reach Qianyuan perfection, but it seems I was overthinking it, Su Mingxun sighed. But thankfully, they're still useful to you, big brother. Take all those top-grade pills, reach Grandmaster perfection as soon as possible and switch to the Immortal path, so you can help Father and Yunyu and the others. Okay, Su Mingwei agreed. Brother, give me a few. I'll give them to Xiaobei to try. He's been a little upset lately because he didn't get to eat the flesh of the red-scaled python. They all smiled. Su Mingwei said, okay. You take 10 mid-grade pills, and everyone else takes 10 to try first. After all, warriors still need to improve their bones, muscles, and flesh. 4 low-grade ones, each one will be given to those entering the mountain at the innate level. Peak-level warriors will receive 2 key-inducing pills, and first-rate warriors will receive 5 acupoint-opening pills. Su Mingxun clasped his fists and said, then I'd like to thank you, brother, on their behalf. After all, they had followed him into the mountains through thick and thin, so Su Mingxun naturally cared about them. By the way, Tantao, you said there might be opportunities with Qin Ying. I'll go with you next time. Zuji, you don't have to go for now. Mother wants you to marry Li Zhi. Huh? Marry Li Zhi? Su Mingyin and Su Mingxun were both surprised. As their eyes met, Su Mingyin nearly dropped the folding fan from his sleeve. I only just learned what mother meant today, Su Mingwei sighed, stroking the jade belt around his waist. Su Mingshu was stunned for a moment, her fingers twisting the ribbons of her skirt for a moment before she stamped her feet and angrily declared, I won't marry. Even before she finished her words, the silver hairpin at her temples trembled with anger. Chapter 97 Zuji's Marriage. Zuji, I have to say a few words for Li Zhi. Su Mingxun suddenly said, Li Zhi has a good talent for martial arts. He grew up with us, is of the right age, and is still unmarried. We know each other well, huh? Why does it feel like he's more and more suitable the more I talk about him? Su Mingyin pondered for a moment and said, it seems that in the entire county, apart from us brothers, only Li Zhi is slightly worthy of you. Second brother, third brother, why don't you two help me? Su Mingshu stomped her feet in anger. Zuji, do you mind that he was once a servant of our family? Su Mingxun frowned and said, that's your fault. Father always taught us not to judge by status, besides, he is my good friend. Your third brother, of course not. Su Mingshu shook her head and said, how should I put it? Li Zhi is very good, but I don't like him. Liking is actually a very complicated thing. Su Mingyin sighed. Look, Your third brother and I only met your sister-in-law once or twice before we got married, but now we have a very close relationship, but I regard Li Zhi as a brother. How can I deal with such a friendship? Do I have to add brother and sister feelings to it? Su Mingshu frowned, and her fingertips unconsciously twisted the hem of her clothes. If this is feasible, then you and I can do it as brother and sister. Don't talk nonsense. Su Mingwei slammed the bronze paperweight on the desk, his voice like a bell. We are of the same blood, how can we be confused? But I've always considered Li Zhi my brother. Undeterred, Su Mingshu took a step forward, the silver hairpin at her temples trembling gently. That's the case, then. It's certainly hard to force it. Su Mingshu looked at Su Mingwei and said, brother, why don't you talk to mother later and ask her to find a new husband for Zuji? Okay. Su Mingwei glanced at Su Mingshu's face and sighed. Since I'm the one choosing the husband, I have certain requirements, Su Mingshu said. First, my husband must be stronger than me. Second, he must possess my brother's deep affection and my father's wisdom. I won't ask for anything else. After all, my Su family doesn't value family background or wealth. With that, the three of them looked ashen. Su Mingwei's knuckles turned white as he pressed against the edge of the table. A turbid breath seemed to rise in his throat, and he was momentarily speechless. In Qingjiang and the neighboring counties, is there a single innately perfected warrior your age? Su Mingwei's voice was like a broken gong. As for affection, you're not even married yet, so how can you be deeply affectionate? Do you think we need to see each other for 3 to 5 years first? He grew increasingly angry as he spoke, the jade belt buckle on his waist clanging against a table. You can wait, but mother can't. Besides, with your unruly temper as a young lady from an aristocratic family, even if there was a suitable match, why would they marry someone who didn't know etiquette? Wouldn't it be better to find a young lady who could support her husband and raise her children? Su Mingshu stamped her foot, attempting to argue, but was interrupted by Su Mingwei's harsh voice. Even if such a person really existed, would you dare marry him? He's only after the Su family's wealth and connections. Even if you wanted to marry someone as utilitarian as him, I would never agree. If not, then not. Su Mingshu took a deep breath. Staring directly at Su Mingwei, not backing down. Even if father comes back, I'll say the same thing. As soon as the words fell, Su Mingshu pushed the door open angrily, leaving the three brothers looking at each other with sorrowful expressions. Su Mingwei sighed and said, brother, father also said that he has his own ideas about Zuji's marriage. No one in the surrounding counties is worthy of Su Mingshu, and the same is true even in the county. At 23, she's only one step away from innate perfection. Even in 5th or 6th rank martial arts families, there are only 1 or 2 such people. Are you asking father to find a descendant of a Qianyuan family for a marriage? Su Mingwei's words were deafening. Father won't do that, Su Mingxuan said. He said before that Zuji would only find a husband and would not marry outside, then let her be lonely for the rest of her life. Su Mingwei sighed. No wonder mother said that father's heart is actually very hard. Forget it, brother, let Zuji do whatever she wants. Su Mingwei's eyes flickered, thoughtfully. Maybe she can't find a suitable one, and she would rather be alone for the rest of her life. As for being lonely, he grinned again. We brothers and father will accompany her. How could we let her fall into such a state? Mother, after all, has limited vision. Although it's good for Zuji, I believe father will not harm Zuji. In short, I definitely trust father more. Without father's planning, there would be no Su family today. Okay, Su Mingwei nodded slightly, and there was no way to refute. Brother, you'll have to go and convince mother, too. You're the head of the family, after all. As Su Mingwei spoke, he was already walking out the door, leaving only the lingering sound of his voice drifting in from outside. Su Mingxuan, also quick-witted, followed him out without a word. What a heartless bunch, leaving me with all the hardship. Bai Jing was their mother, after all. Su Mingwei and his sons couldn't force her, especially since she didn't practice martial arts like them, and her health was deteriorating. That afternoon, Su Mingwei went to Dongxi and, along with Bai Jing, replied to Su Mingshu's words. After much persuasion, Su Mingwei ultimately threw all the questions back to the distant Su Chuan. Alice, your father is different, and the children he taught are also like this. Well, let's wait until your father comes back to talk about everything. Bai Jing waved her hand, with a hint of anger in her voice. I'm tired, you go. She looked at the swaying bamboo shadows outside the window, and suddenly said, Go back and tell Zuji that if her father uses her as a pawn in a marriage alliance and marries her to a wealthy family in the future, don't come to me crying, Mother, don't be angry. Su Mingwei's face was bitter. Seeing that she had no intention of turning her head to look at him, he bowed and said, take care of yourself. I'll leave first. After Su Mingwei left, Ali beside Bai Jing said helplessly, Old lady, why do you have to be angry with the head of the family and others? You should be at the age to enjoy your life now, Ali. I have enjoyed a lifetime of happiness, Bai Jing said with a smile. Sometimes I feel like I'm the happiest woman in the world, Bai Jing said slowly. I can't be with these children for much longer. I just want to do more for them before I go. Su Mingwei, feeling depressed, went to Qianyuan to warn Su Mingshu, go to the Biham pond and meditate for a while. Don't hang around in front of Mother. Have you convinced Mother? Su Mingshu's eyes lit up, the hem of her skirt brushing the bluestone steps. You know that Big Brother loves Zuji the most. She bowed, the silver hairpin in her hair trembling with her movements. I'm going up the mountain now. I'm sure I'll break through to Qianyuan perfection soon. Xiao Bei. As soon as the words left her mouth, a white tiger with red gold eyes leaped out from another place and landed in front of Su Mingshu. Roar, let's go to the Biham pond and see if the black iron fruit is ripe. The white tiger's eyes lit up, and it roared excitedly again. Su Mingshu climbed onto the tiger's back and patted it gently. The white tiger, familiar with the route, immediately took off towards the Su residence. Seeing her bright smile, Su Mingwei suddenly felt his annoyance dissipate. Never mind, perhaps this is more suitable for Zuji. Chapter 98. The couple both died. A few days later. The east was already bright, the morning light shimmering. The distant mountains were a shimmering black, still shrouded in a veil of dark mist. Su Mingwei, carrying his inked dragon bow, followed Su Mingsun and the others into the mountains early in the morning. Knowing the route well, they quickly advanced an hour and a half before reaching the lake not far below Broken Tooth Peak. Somewhere on the cliffs above the peak is the blue fire eagle's nest, but I don't know exactly where. Su Mingsun pointed toward the towering face of Broken Tooth Peak. Su Mingwei gazed intently. His eyes held a strange light, capable of piercing the clouds and mist, and viewing scenery dozens of miles away. It's too far to see clearly. Su Mingwei turned to look at Su Mingsun and said calmly, even if I could see it, as you said before, this eagle is as fast as lightning, and its short distance movements are extremely swift. At this distance, my arrows might be easily dodged. Within a few miles, perhaps we can try, then lure it out. Oh, what will we use to lure it out? Su Mingsun smiled without saying anything. He flipped his hand, and a blood-red pill appeared in his palm. Qianyuan blood pill. Su Mingwei was no fool. The sight of this object immediately made sense. That's right, Su Mingsun grinned. This pill is made from the flesh and blood of the red-scaled python, along with various medicinal herbs. Crush it, and the powder will scatter into the air. I'm sure the green fire eagle won't forget it. I'll use myself as bait, standing by the lake. Big brother, you hide in the shadows. When it swoops down, you'll shoot it. That's too impulsive. Su Mingwei frowned slightly. I can't guarantee my arrow's speed will hit the target. Don't worry, I'm afraid of my life. I'll have someone stand by my side with a shield. If you fail, big brother, we can use the shield to block the attack for a moment, and then we'll immediately jump into the lake. Su Mingwei pondered for a moment, then nodded slightly, agreeing. Protect third master. Yes, patriarch. The innate warrior, holding a several-inch thick fine steel shield, bowed slightly. Su Mingwei led the others into the forest. He stood in the shadows beside a boulder, his breathing almost imperceptible, as if blending seamlessly with his surroundings. Bows and arrows drawn, he waited for his prey to appear. Su Mingsun and his shield-wielding Qianyuan guard stood by the lake, instantly crushing a low-grade Qianyuan blood pill. Instantly, a thick, bloody aura surged like a tide, spreading across the landscape. The mountain wind, carrying the stench, lifted the aura to the heavens. Deep within the dense forest, a wolf suddenly raised its head and howled, its dark green pupils reflecting the bloody current. The giant python perched atop a century-old pine tree also spit out its tongue, its scales gleaming an eerie red in the sunlight. Ferocious beasts within a 10-mile radius raised their heads, following the scent, their eyes gleaming with greed, as if they had sensed a once-in-a-decade feast. Chuan refined his recipe using the essence of demonic beasts' flesh and blood, supplemented with medicinal herbs. Even the white tiger, a demonic beast, was greedy, and the other beasts were even more so. The cliffs of Broken Tooth Peak. Suddenly, a cyan figure flew out from the cliff face, circling in the air. It was the same blue fire eagle that Su Mingxun and his companions had encountered earlier. It was deeply familiar with the red-scaled python's aura. Fury at the thought of its body being stolen, it immediately flew out of the cliff cave. In a moment, it spotted Su Mingxun by the lake, the source of the aura emanating from their surroundings. Its eagle eyes fixed on Su Mingxun and his guards, swooping down like a bolt of cyan lightning. The guards, first spotted in the lake's reflection, looked up and exclaimed, "Third Master, it's coming." As soon as they finished speaking, Su Mingxun looked up as well. However, the blue fire eagle sped away like lightning, closing in on them in the blink of an eye. The guards quickly raised their steel shields, hoping to block a blow. But just as the blue fire eagle's claws sunk into the shields, a flash of black lightning streaked across the sky, piercing their chests from the forest floor. The next moment, the piercing cry of an eagle resounded all around. Then, another arrow pierced its skull, killing it instantly. Su Mingxun and the guard were still trembling. Just as everyone relaxed, another blue fire eagle suddenly appeared in the sky, slightly smaller but equally ferocious. With a flap of its wings, a mournful cry echoed through the air, and flames ignited from its blue feathers, swooping down like a fireball. Jump! Su Mingxun and the guards leaped into the lake without hesitation. The blue fire eagle continued to swoop down, but Su Mingwei saw it was simply blinded by rage. Even if a demonic beast had intelligence, how could it control its emotions compared to a naturally intelligent human? 3 arrows fired in a volley, blocking the eagle's path. Because its blue feathers were as hard as iron, Su Mingwei aimed for its head and abdomen. The eagle avoided the head, but was pierced in the abdomen, sending it careening toward the previous blue fire eagle. It turned its head and let out a mournful cry. Su Mingwei showed no mercy. Taking advantage of its weakness and inability to move, he shot an arrow through its head, just like before. Su Mingxun and his guards emerged from the lake, their eyes constantly scanning the sky. After a long while, when there was no movement, they swam to the shore and got out. Su Mingwei and his companions also walked out from the edge of the forest and went to check on the 2 blue fire eagles. "I never thought there would be 2 monsters here. They look like a married couple, otherwise they wouldn't be wailing like this before." Su Mingxun smiled and said, "Brother, I heard you hunted a tiger couple, and now you've killed an eagle couple. Are you targeting couples? What nonsense." Su Mingwei's face darkened when he saw that he was making fun of him. "It's just a joke, big brother, please don't blame me. But if they are really a couple, do you think there will be young eagles or eagle eggs in their nest?" A guard said, "Third Master, I have also heard that in order to replenish nutrients for the female eagle, the male eagle will frequently go out to look for prey during this period." Su Mingwei pondered for a moment, raised his head and looked towards the cliff of Broken Tooth Peak. "If this is the case, we must bring it back. This is a pure monster, not a transformed monster like Xiao Bei, and its potential far exceeds it, but that cliff is not climbable by human power." Su Mingxun reminded, "It's better to wait for Yanyu to come back next time." Su Mingwei looked up and stopped him. "If we rely on Yanyu and father for everything, aren't we useless? Don't worry, I'll go up and check it out myself." Su Mingwei then leaned close to Su Mingxun's ear and gave him a few instructions. "I understand, big brother. I'll bring you what you want. Leave 2 of you to follow the master's orders. The rest of you, follow me." "Yes, Third Master." With Su Mingwei guarding the 2 green fire eagles, ordinary wild beasts were powerless. A few hours later, Su Mingxun arrived with a team, bringing a large amount of hemp rope. They carried the carcasses of the 2 green fire eagles to the foot of Broken Tooth Peak. Su Mingwei tied the ropes around himself, carried the quiver on his back, and, using both hands to insert arrows into the wall, used the force to climb. A 1,000-foot cliff is not for ordinary people to scale. Even for Su Mingwei, a mid-stage grandmaster, it was no easy task. Thanks to his innate strength and enduring stamina, he climbed step by step. After disappearing into the clouds, he discovered a stone platform on the cliff. Su Mingwei leaped onto the platform, and a cave several meters high came into view. Chapter 99: A Big Harvest. Another cave. Su Mingwei's face was quizzical. Inside this cave, an inky old vine grew diagonally in the cracks of the rock. Moss, like phosphorescent flames, dangled from the vines, its faint glow flickering in the mountain breeze. The stone steps at the entrance had been worn smooth by time, but a bit of bone dust accumulated in the corners. As Su Mingwei stepped into the cave, a chill washed over him. The stalactites on the ceiling resembled inverted wolf fangs, and the sound of dripping water echoed in the empty space. Numerous dead bones lay scattered in the corners, mostly animal, but also some human. Su Mingwei wondered if the key training monster's lair might hold the remains of immortal cultivators. If so, there might be magical instruments, storage bags, and the like. He searched carefully. The first thing he saw was a massive bird's nest made of dead branches and leaves. Inside the nest were 3 eagle eggs, the size of human heads. The eggs had cyan markings on their surfaces and exuded a warm aura. Alive, Su Mingwei smiled. Even if he didn't find anything else, just bringing back these 3 eagle eggs and hatching them all would make it all worth it. Retracting his gaze, he continued exploring the cave. He found no weapons or anything like that, but he did find 3 small gray brocade bags. If they can't be opened, they must be storage bags used by cultivators. This is quite a find. It seems my third brother is truly gifted, seeking advantage and avoiding harm. Su Mingwei sensed that the 5 siblings were exceptionally gifted, perhaps due to deep connection with their father. While he knew the secret, he dared not reveal it easily, burying his doubts deep within his heart. He knew his father had his reasons for not speaking. Su Mingwei tucked the storage bags into his arms and wrapped the 3 eagle eggs in cloth, stuffing some dead branches and leaves inside for cushioning. He then untied the hemp rope from his waist and tied it to a stone pillar in the cave. They drew their bows and shot arrows in the general direction of Su Mingxun and his companions. After the arrows landed on the ground, they immediately tightened the hemp rope and tied it to the trunk of a giant tree. Seeing the rope taut, Su Mingwei immediately tied the eagle egg to his waist. Fortunately, the monster egg's shell was hard, resisting even the slightest impact. He then took out a bent iron rod and placed it on the hemp rope. Holding both ends tightly with both hands, he quickly slid down the rope. Green smoke immediately rose from the rope's surface. But Su Mingwei was descending even faster. After several feet from the ground, the rope burst into flames, and he immediately released his hands and leaped down. Bang! The ground trembled slightly. A few feet was nothing for a master martial artist like him. Once the flames on the rope ignited, they spread uncontrollably, nearly consuming the entire rope. However, after Su Mingxun and his companions safely returned to the rope, they cut the rope, leaving only a section. "Brother, everything is just as you said," Su Mingxun stepped forward excitedly. "I'm just repeating what my father said." Su Mingxun smiled, his gaze shifting to his waist, and he said in surprise, "There are actually 3 eagle eggs. I hope they all survive." Su Mingwei glanced around. "Let's go. It's getting dark, time to go home." By the time they returned to the Su residence, night had fallen. Su Mingwei placed the bodies of the 2 blue fire eagles in the Bihan pond and asked Su Mingshu and the others to help guard them. A few days later, Su Chuan was surprised to see that Su Mingwei was preoccupied with dealing with the blue fire eagle carcasses and hatching them. But he was also very happy. He and Su Mingxun had been saving money outside and making plans for the Su family, and Su Mingwei and his friends had lived up to his expectations, gradually strengthening the Su family. Su Mingxun was also surprised when he learned of this. Just over half a month had passed since their last hunt, and Su Mingwei and his friends had hunted 2 more flying monsters. That day, Su Mingxun returned to the Su household and placed the 2 green fire eagle carcasses into storage bags. Su Mingwei handed him 3 storage bags. "They're all inferior," Su Mingxun recognized immediately. He used his divine sense to open them and retrieve their contents. A red flying sword and a small black shield with a beast's head, both low-grade magical instruments. There were also 26 spirit stones, 3 ordinary spellbooks, 5 or 6 spell manuals, and a few other mundane items. They appear to be ordinary casual cultivators. Su Mingxun glanced at him, then looked at Su Mingwei and said calmly, "I'll take the spirit stones. Leave the rest at home for my eldest brother to handle." Su Mingwei nodded. "Yanyu, when we get back, help me figure out how to hatch the blue fire eagle egg. I already know about this." "Father asked someone to tell me. Place it in a greenhouse and place 2 or 3 fire-attributed spirit stones around the egg." "I've brought all the spirit stones with me," Su Mingxun said, patting his storage bag. 15 fire-attributed spirit stones flew out and landed on the desk. "This, better to be prepared," Su Mingxun smiled faintly. Su Mingwei smiled and replied, "That's very true, you who mark it." "Father, I've brought back the blue fire eagle." "Well, You can do with it as you please. Leave its flesh and blood to me to refine the innate blood pill, Chuan replied. The essence of the blue fire eagle lies in its feathers, which can be used to refine robes and make it as light as a swallow. They are much more precious than the scales of a red-scaled python. Of course, the flesh and blood used to refine the innate blood pill is far less than that of a red-scaled python. Oh, father, I also got 3 inferior storage bags. Aside from the 26 spirit stones, the rest of the magical instruments and spells are left at home. Oh, there's also this. Chuan's divination wasn't perfect. After a moment's hesitation, he said, use these spirit stones to buy me some spiritual medicine. Relying on others to refine elixirs isn't a sustainable solution. Yes, father. Time flew by. 6 months later, Su Mingwei, after taking a top-grade blood pill, broke through to the late Grandmaster stage. Su Mingshu reached Xiantian perfection, completing her 5 spiritual roots, and continued to practice diligently daily to improve them. Su Mingyun reached the late Xiantian stage, while Su Mingxun reached the peak of the late Xiantian stage, just 1 step away from Xiantian perfection. Su Deziao, Su Duan, and the younger generation, including Wu Tao, all made significant progress. Zhang Wanqing, on the other hand, became pregnant, delaying her cultivation. The children of the Zhao, Jin, Sun, Li, Zhou, Chen, and Bai families had all grown up. They ranged in age from 17 to 18, some just past their 20s. Even the least gifted had reached the pinnacle of martial prowess, with several achieving peak levels of the acquired realm. The Su family dispatched them to neighboring counties to manage the family estates. With the Su family's generous support, the families quickly established themselves. While developing their own clan foundations, they also managed the Su family's businesses, such as Qianyuan and Zuianju. At the end of each season, the heads of each family would return to the Su family in Dongxi to present their affairs, account books, and reports of gains and losses to Su Mingwei and Su Mingyun. Su Mingyun, in turn, stepped back from his busy schedule to dedicate himself to martial arts. With more free time, Wu Rushan became pregnant again after Zhang Wanqing. After several years, the Su family was about to welcome a new child, and the mansion was bustling with activity once again. Yuhu Market. Zhou's alchemy shop. Fellow Taoist Sanchu is leaving. Upon hearing the news, Zhou Sen immediately rushed from the Zhou family's mountain gate to Yuhu Market. I'm not far from the 9th level of key training now, and the great perfection of key training is just around the corner. I have to plan for my future path. Could it be that Elder Zhou doesn't want to build a foundation? Chapter 100, Wu Fangzhu's investment, the 3 Blue Fire Eagle brothers. Building a foundation? Who wouldn't want to? Zhou Sen sighed, gazing out the window. Forget about spiritual awareness and mana, the added lifespan of 2 decades alone would attract countless cultivators like Moths to Flame, and yet, those who successfully reach this realm are all blessed with natural talent, resources, and opportunities. Zhou Sen also knew that independent cultivators differed from aristocratic key training families. Aristocratic key training families would undoubtedly devote their utmost efforts to helping someone build a foundation. At the very least, gathering the necessary 5 elements of key was a task for them. Those attempting the foundation building stage didn't need to worry about anything else, they simply had to give their all. Even so, successful foundation building was rare among aristocratic key training families, let alone independent cultivators. Simply gathering enough 5 elements of key to build a foundation would take years, and even if Chuan failed once, even if he survived, he would have to start all over again. Chuan was, after all, only a guest official. Even if he possessed exceptional alchemy talent, the Zhou family couldn't possibly offer him their full support. Even they themselves didn't know how long it would take the Zhou family to nurture the next foundation-building cultivator. How could he possibly support an outsider? Never mind. Fellow Taoist Sanchu is so determined to seek the Dao, how could I refuse? I'm just a little sad that I won't be able to discuss alchemy with you again in the future. I'm truly flattered by fellow Taoist Zhou Sen's appreciation. Chuan clasped his fists and said, if I ever find myself hopeless, I'll definitely come find you. Zhou Sen stroked his beard and sighed, I'm afraid I might not be around by then. Leave your guest token with you. If you're ever in danger, show it, and it might save you. Thank you. Chuan and Su Mingxun left, and shopkeeper Zhou and Zhou Sen saw them off at the door. As they walked away, shopkeeper Zhou whispered, Elder, are you just letting guest Sanchu go? What else? Zhou Sen turned and glanced at him calmly. Guest Sanchu has such a high talent for alchemy, he must stay and continue refining for our Zhou family. How? Shopkeeper Zhou remained silent. Even if we use force to keep him, he's a solitary cultivator. If he doesn't want to refine, can we force him? Alchemy is a delicate process. The slightest mistake will ruin all the work. If he refuses, even if he exhausts all the Zhou family's spiritual materials, he won't be able to make even a low-grade pill. It's better to maintain this relationship. If the Zhou family truly needs to refine a rare pill in the future, we can ask him for help. I was foolish, Shopkeeper Zhou said, bowing his head. Remember, as long as they don't threaten our family's interests and are talented, we, the Zhou family, should be respectful and focus on recruiting them. I'll remember this. Thank you for your advice, Elder. Keep an eye on the Su family in the market. Their foundation establishment ancestors' time is approaching, and they should repay their debts from years past. Shopkeeper Zhou's eyes suddenly lit up with a glint of brilliance, tinged with hatred. Before Su Chuan and Su Mingxin left Yuhu Market, they visited the Balianqi workshop. Master Wu wasn't surprised by their departure. In his eyes, Su Chuan and Su Mingxin were both relatively young, and both held the potential to achieve foundation establishment. How could such individuals, before reaching their limit, give up on foundation establishment and settle down in a market town like him? I won't say much. Before we part, I'll give you a few small gifts to help you two fellow Daoists in your future foundation establishment efforts. If you are fortunate enough to succeed, please bless my grandson. He handed a storage bag to Su Chuan and brought his grandson to them. This is my grandson, Wu Shunan. Shunan, nice to meet you two seniors, Wu Shunan said with a bow. He's a handsome child. Su Chuan nodded and smiled faintly. Thank you for your good wishes, fellow Taoist Wu. Only after they left Yuhu Market did Su Chuan examine the contents of the storage bag. The 5 elements key gathering method, the secret art of the life lamp, the Wu family weapon refining method, and even a mid-grade alchemy furnace and a mid-grade magical flying sword. Su Chuan's lips curled slightly. Fellow Taoist Wu, this is quite generous. Yunyu, the flying sword must be prepared for you. Take it. As for the alchemy furnace, I'd be remiss not to accept it. Su Mingxin was delighted and put it into his storage bag, intending to find another time to refine it. He currently only had a low-grade flying sword, a gift from Su Chuan. Even if he had spirit stones, he wouldn't buy any more, instead using them to research magic array materials. Fellow Taoist Wu saw that if I established my foundation, I would definitely create a family of foundation-building aristocrats, so he gifted me the secret art of the life lamp. If I truly achieve this mere secret art will be nothing. Su Mingxin sighed. They are all cunning and treacherous. If you weren't cunning, how could you have survived until now? Yunyu, from now on, be cautious in everything you do. Su Chuan patted his shoulder and continued, however, this gift is ultimately useful to my Su family. I must remember this favor and return it when I can. I understand, father. Where are we going next? Let's go to Guangling first. Dongxi village, Beihanton Pond. Crying eagle's cry echoed, and a 2-foot-tall blue fire eagle, wings spread, circled in front of the bamboo hut. Beneath the black iron tree, a white tiger with red gold eyes glanced up and yawned, its silver-white whiskers trembling slightly. Su Mingxu heard the eagle's cry and emerged from the bamboo hut. A smile spread across her face as she addressed the blue fire eagle in the sky. Ah-san, you're back. The blue fire eagle landed on the eaves of the bamboo hut, chirping. Su Mingxu listened, nodding, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. Another demon beast, Xiao Bei, don't doze off. We'll have a snack later. Upon hearing the snack, the white tiger abruptly scrambled to its feet, its red gold eyes gleaming with brilliance. Su Mingxu immediately rode the white tiger down the mountain to find Su Mingxuan. As Zhang Wanqing's belly grew, Su Mingxuan would set aside an hour or two every day to accompany her. As for the blue fire eagles, they had hatched from eagle eggs. Using the hatching method taught by Su Mingxuan, all 3 eggs successfully hatched. Su Mingxu named them Ada, Ar, and Asen, according to the order in which they hatched. She fed them Xianshan blood pills, sometimes wild animal meat, and the Su family's secret Xianshan medicinal diet. With such unremitting efforts, the 3 green fire eagles grew rapidly. In half a year, green flames appeared on their heads, and their green feathers became more and more abundant. They could withstand the chops of ordinary swords and axes, and they could soar into the sky with their wings spread. Su Mingxu let them fly around the Broken Tooth Mountains. In addition to hunting on their own, They also explored the traces of monsters. San came back to report the news. Chaoguang courtyard. Su Mingsun took Zhang Wanqing's hand and walked slowly on the corridor. Third brother, Su Mingshu's crisp voice made the two of them look in the direction of the sound. Zuji, slow down, don't bump into your third sister-in-law, otherwise I will teach you a lesson. You can't beat me, Su Mingshu grinned. Hey, it's true that I can't beat you, but I can ask my eldest brother and mother to deal with you, Su Mingshu sneered when she heard this, and curled the corners of her lips. You are my third brother, but you can't take a joke like this, and always bring up my eldest brother and mother to pressure me. It's really boring. You are good at talking. You should have let Li Zhi marry you so that he could control your mouth. If you mention this again, I will be angry. Okay. Seeing Su Mingshu's face full of anger, Su Mingsun looked up and said, tell me, what do you want from me? San found traces of monsters. I want to go hunt monsters with Wu Tao and others. With you, my third brother, you can also avoid danger. Are you treating me as a mascot? Zhang Wanqing smiled lightly. Husband, stop teasing Zuji. Can you really bear to see your only sister in danger? I'll be fine at the Su family. If I weren't so ill, I'd definitely go with him. Otherwise, all the magic I've learned over the years will be useless. Third sister-in-law is really understanding. Su Mingsun shook his head speechlessly, feeling helpless about his sister. In the entire Su family, only Su Chuan and his wife, and Su Mingwei, could control her. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.